Live from the Findlay Toyota studio, you're listening to ESPN Las Vegas.
All right, here we go. Cofield and Company here on Thursday. John Von Tobel is in as a company. James is running the show. Big day of NFL. We had the Hall of Fame game last week, and we've got 6 games tonight around the National Football League. Detroit and Cincinnati and Green Bay and Pittsburgh start things off, and then evening games that we'll get to. Scott Seidenberg will join us from VSiN. Of course, John from VSiN as well, but Scott will join us at 3:40. He'll give us some angles on the Raiders and Zona. That game is here in town tonight at 5 o'clock, and John has the rest of the games covered. Ray Brewer's coming up in a couple of minutes as well. So it is a Thursday on Cofield and Company. We did not have a chance to talk much basketball early in the week because we're in the middle of, full-blown football frenzy. UNLV basketball schedule came out. Pretty interesting. A lot of good non-con spots. Obviously, the big boy tournament here in town with the Players era. And then it's kind of jarring when you look at the conference schedule and you're like, wait, who are these teams? Who? What? Who are these schools? It's so much different. So what caught your eye? Conference or non-con?
I mean, first off, welcome UC Davis. Totally forgot about that. Didn't realize that they were going to be part of the conference schedule. Like, to your point, there's just so many new faces that it really does stick out. I would say that the two things that stuck out to me was, first off, from a road trip standpoint in the Mountain West, it doesn't seem too daunting in the sense of not a lot of consecutive road games. You open the season at Grand Canyon, or conference season, I should say, at Grand Canyon, at San Jose State. That's not too bad of a 1-2 punch that you should be able to handle. At New Mexico and at UTEP, if I'm reading this correctly, right, is the only other consecutive road trips that you make. So to have that breakdown in that sense, I think is pretty good. You could go through, especially in the peak Mountain West, some brutal road swings. San Diego State, Boise State, whatever it was. This seems to be a little bit more manageable from that standpoint, for sure. And then I think you and I have discussed this overall, but I think it's refreshing to finally see a UNLV basketball schedule that has some non-conference games that you want to go watch. It seems like it's been a really long time since this program has stepped up to the plate and tried to challenge itself with some of these games. And now to kind of see not only the exhibitions, but to have even just like the Stanfords and Kansas, obviously, what the Players era is going to be after that. Some of these contests, on the road against San Francisco, keeping it up with San Diego State, hosting SMU, or excuse me, it's on a neutral, right?
Neutral
SMU,
in Arizona.
Those are the things that I think you really like to see if you're a fan. Like, those are games that you want to watch. You want to watch your game, but no offense to some of the other teams that they've played. And by the way, they've lost some of those games, so I shouldn't crap on the schedule too much. We've seen some season opener losses to some of the games that we have deemed as lesser. But it is refreshing to see this team step up and try to swing up at some of the higher weight classes.
So I'll start from the very beginning. We're talking about the UNLV basketball schedule that came out. A lot of NFL coming up. Actually, UNLV for the first about 35 minutes of the show today. Basketball and football. Ray Brewer is going to join us from the Las Vegas Sun, but I like that they took advantage of the fact that they can play a bunch of exhibition games and that they got hyper-aggressive. And this is a chance to go and watch UNLV on October 7th, October 24th, and 29th against Power 4 school, whatever they're called, Power 5. Now, a couple of them are old rivals. Mm-hmm. So it still doesn't feel that comfortable saying that Utah and BYU is in the big time, but Utah and BYU, and then Missouri, those are all exhibition games, which I think is neat. Coming out of the gates, and Josh Pastner told us, you were sitting there at the Thomas and Mack during the summer league, like it's going to be a real game. It's not some dopey scrimmage. Like they're going to play a real game with officials, and so that's coming out of the gates. And then they have the rematch against Stanford. Remember, that was one of their good wins last year, where they were not playing well going into that game, and they shocked Stanford. The Players here is nice, and I love that they come out of the gates against Kansas. You never know. I don't know what UNLV is going to be until I really see them. I know this. They're going to be able to run. They're going to be able to defend. Can they rebound? We'll see. We'll get into the roster a little bit, but they've got upwards of 8 guards right now, and they may have a 9th and I haven't seen anything on Allen Breed if he's cleared, but Kansas, and then winner-loser of West Virginia and Auburn, and then we'll see what comes from the other side of the bracket. Mm-hmm. That's pretty cool. And then, like you mentioned, really good road trip. I think good test. And at San Fran is really interesting because it's always a very solid program. It's a bandbox, but they get a nice little crowd there.
Yep.
I almost said at elevation, but they in San Fran they are at elevation.
By the way, I would like
hill, and then at San Diego State that's the only rivalry. That's the only game they wanted to rebook. And I pointed out on the air a bunch of times. And if you listened last year, John, not you, but the listeners, pretty much every post game against the best of the Mountain West Conference, I made sure to ask Josh Pastner, like, "Hey, you come back here?"
Yeah.
And every time outside of San Diego State, every other school, he's like, "Nope.
Yep.
No reason to go to Logan. No reason to go to Boise."
No.
Now, I personally like going to Boise, but they don't care about, the quality of the food or a road trip. I've said a million times, Logan just makes me feel weird.
Yeah.
And it's a really hard place to play, and no one outside, they don't believe this because they have a very high opinion of themselves, but no one outside of this region, the mountain region, has any clue what Utah State is. So there is no benefit to going there and even winning, really.
I mean, I think it's important. To me, there's two programs that stick out. As somebody who grew up out here and went out to UNLV too, that stick out as rivals. Obviously, is Reno number one, and San Diego State was the other. And obviously, the clashes that they have had. You love the joke that I make is all the basketball games in which we watched a rope grab a ridiculous offensive rebound on a missed free throw to win by 2, or whatever it is. Every single time we've seen the Aztecs pull off something like that. It has been a rivalry that has been, especially in basketball, massive. So it is great to see it maintain itself, and hopefully that does continue. I don't know, politics and whatnot. You can never say it's always going to be there, but I think it's awesome they're going to keep that going. And by the way, if UNLV needs any help on the road, one of the venues that I've always liked to want to go to is San Francisco. So I would love to see the Dons because you're right, that's a little gym, but they're a good program, and they have a lot of really good fan support.
Yep. And we mentioned the other non-con. Washington State will be over at Hendo. And then SMU in Phoenix in a double-header. And then the conference slate is pretty tough.
Yep.
That at GCU game is going to be a freaking bear because I think they're going to be the most talented team. I haven't seen any update, I don't know if you did, on Jaden Henley and the whole lawsuit thing. I mean, if they get – I was under the belief that a lot of these guys – well, there's a couple things. To my knowledge, if you didn't enter the transfer portal as a super senior, and you remember people mocked on different athletes for going in, they're like, they don't have any eligibility left. Well, I'm sure they had attorneys and advisors who were like, hey, something might happen. You need to be in the portal. Mm-hmm. To my knowledge, if you're not in the portal, then you can't move elsewhere. But we've seen a bunch of transfers, so we got to get that straightened out. But if Jaden Henley went back to Grand Canyon, holy crap.
Oh, huge.
They'd be loaded. They have New Mexico twice on the schedule again.
Mm-hmm.
I always thought that was stupid when the Mountain West booked a UNLV schedule, New Mexico schedule, and only had a one-off.
Yeah.
Like, those are two rivals that go back. And the old Mountain West, we always said it, and people outside the market even said it, the conference is better when New Mexico and UNLV are good and drawing. They can both be really rough venues. And, boy, Eric Olin was good last year, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm. He was great.
And he was going to lose his star freshman, but he decided to come back. They got some good transfers. And then we'll see what UTEP and Davis bring. I think the sneakiest opponent on the schedule because of the length of the road trip, Eran Ganot is a really good coach. And he lost a bunch of guys at Hawaii, but he's got a couple of dudes back, and he did really well in the transfer portal. So I think that Hawaii trip, and it's the final game of the regular season, is going to be a very weird game. Now, there could be a lot on the line. There could be seating on the line. There may also be nothing on the line, and you're going to a place where – if players haven't been there, it's very easy to get distracted in your overnight stay. If they only – and that's the other thing. I don't know what Pastner is going to do this year for the Wyoming trip. Remember, that turned into a freaking nightmare because of the elevation. And I have no idea what his philosophy is going to be on Hawaii. I think it's worth getting there a couple of days in advance, but I don't know what he's going to do.
Yeah, it's weird because I think every team has had its different issues. I remember the last ill-fated trip for Marcus Arroyo and that football team. I think it was cited by him that maybe there was some distraction when they went out there. And they made it a quick turnaround. Like, we went out there because I was engineering for that, right? We went out there the day before.
They went late.
Yeah.
Now, keep in mind, that's going to be Mullen's approach too.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure they're going out the Friday. So you get there Friday afternoon, you play a Saturday evening game. The thing that backfired with Arroyo is that he made a point of, hey, we're going to go, and there's going to be an early curfew, and there's going to be no distractions. And instead of the players abiding by that, it actually turned into screw this, we're going to do what we want, and actually kids did go out.
Yeah.
And there were some distractions.
Yeah.
So listen, I'm not the coach of the team.
Well,
I can't read if kids are going to defy an order. That was also a much different era and a mood of the team. Although that team did have a lot on the line.
Yeah. Oh, it did. I mean, well, especially the start of that year. Like, they started 4-1 and they were on a losing streak. Like, there was a lot on the line for them.
But it was they were jinxed. As soon as they got to the field, a couple of corners went down.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm blanking on the freaking name of the corner. One of the backup corners. The second or third stringer had to go in, and Timmy Chang's like, deep shot, like went right at him.
Braden Shager. The Shager bombs over and over again.
The Shager bombs.
But I would say, I mean, to this overall point, though, I think it also and I think this kind of speaks to it, not to take maybe a mini shot at Arroyo, but I think it does speak to leadership as well. Like, if Pastner is somebody who has his hands around this team in a proper way, I'm assuming he can get them to buy into the message of whatever he wants when they go out there, whenever they decide to go out there.
We got a lot of football coming up. NFL and UNLV. We'll do our daily UNLV report at 3:30, a little more at around 5:15. But on the way back, Ray Brewer is going to catch us up on what's going on with high school football, also his take on being out at Rebel football practice a couple days ago.
Now back to Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas.
All right, hitting local sports heavy today is Raiders. First preseason game. Mendoza might play, might not. I don't know. I thought it was real interesting with Clint Kubiak's like, yeah, we'll get plenty of action. Like, how much? I can't say. Like, we're keeping that under wraps?
Yeah, I know. It's preseason.
You wouldn't want the Cardinals to have the game plan with Fernando Mendoza. Let's bring in Ray Brewer, who covers local sports, high school sports, has been here in Vegas forever. He's one of the deans of sports coverage in Sin City. Ray, how you doing, buddy?
Steve, JVT, doing good. Thank you guys for having me on the show.
How fired up are you to see Fernando Mendoza get a couple of quarters, if that, in an exhibition game tonight, preseason game over at the Owl?
Well, there's so much intrigue into Fernando Mendoza, and, you know, his story is something you could wrap your head around. Normal guy, undefeated, college record at Indiana, still developing, kind of quirky and geeky like many of us. And listen, the Raiders are desperate to win, and if this guy could be the pathway to bringing memorable Sundays to Las Vegas and championship runs for Las Vegas, I've got to see part of it. I have as much intrigue as most of the people out there.
Ray, you're on the straight and narrow like Mendoza is. Mendoza recently, John, he called the strip what? Boogeyman?
A boogeyman, a haunted house.
A haunted house.
Staying away from it.
What advice would you give Fernando Mendoza? Because we know you never had any good times on the strip.
Well, I think he's where I was maybe at 35 or 36 when I met my wife and kind of tamed down to the Ray you know and love right now, Steve. I think Mendoza's already there, or at least he's got the perception that he is. I would love to see him and like Max Crosby go out and just have a great night out, hit some bars, talk to some strange people, have him get it out of his system, and then go back to, you know, the suburbs of Henderson.
Right. Hit the bars, but don't drink. Max is a recovering alcoholic, so let's be careful on that one.
Are we sure Fernando Mendoza is the answer at quarterback and be the face of the franchise here in Las Vegas?
Wait, we're not doing this early in
It
this
sounds like he lacks willpower, Ray. Like, if the big, scary strip is so intimidating that if he steps foot out there, it would lead to bad things, I sense that somebody lacks willpower and the ability to make the right choices.
Well, I could tell you this. In terms of being the face of the franchise, a complete home run pick to do that and to represent the community. You even saw he and Kirk Cousins did that video for the Pacific Verde Little League team that's on the verge of going to Williamsport. And the kid says all the right things and does all the right things. Is that going to equate to a cannon on the football field and some unbelievable courage? I don't know. He sure looked courageous diving into the end zone against Miami on fourth down to win the Natty.
Ray, we got our first look at the UNLV Running Rebels schedule. Give me your first thoughts. What do you think?
So intrigued, obviously, by the Kansas game at Mandalay Bay, but I'm worried maybe that it doesn't pack that competitive punch. I mean, SMU and Washington State, okay, Kansas, of course, and then that whole tournament. But it's definitely a schedule that's built to go into league play with, a heavy winning record. And obviously every team in America is predominantly new, to give your new players an opportunity to mesh against with each other.
Do you think Rebel fans can come to grips with the fact that the way to get Kansas or, say, West Virginia / Auburn, games like that, they're going to have to be on the Strip oftentimes? Because I still sense that, and even the good games that have been in Henderson, like they played against Creighton, it was a wonderful win, and really there was no one there. I wonder a lot of times Rebel fans are so stuck on, hey, it has to be a Thomas and Mack or I'm not going.
Yeah, it's very interesting. We kind of feel like Fernando Mendoza a little bit, Steve, where we live in Las Vegas. The Strip is this most known block of real estate in the world, yet we're afraid to go on there. We go up there for like a birthday dinner or an anniversary, and that's about it. And a lot of locals are afraid of the parking garage or the traffic or whatever it may be, and they want Arizona at the Thomas and Mack Center, which I think was the best crowd in the last 10 years. And they're not, at the same time, they're not too excited to jump out of bed to watch Texas Rio Grande Valley at the Thomas and Mack Center. So it's a tough fan base to appease.
But reality is, I'm not asking people to do this, but you could park at Thomas and Mack and you'd have a brisk 15-minute walk to every arena they play at on the Strip.
Well,
it's right there.
It's windy, though, in the fall, Steve.
Okay, all right. Park somewhere and take the boring stop, which will be closer
What
to the
if
Strip.
UNLV basketball, if they're listening, offered shuttle services from Thomas and Mack?
Oh, I think they have a shuttle for students. And Steve's from New Jersey. He's used to taking public transpo to get to cool things. In Vegas, we want to drive our car right up to the door and walk right in.
Oh, man.
That's our bugaboo. You charge $5 to park at the mall, and people go crazy.
Well, that is a fair point. Sometimes parking on the Strip for the games can be expensive. Right now, it's still free at the Thomas and Mack. Although last year, I thought for some of the football games, they had some vouchers for cheaper parking, but that's something that UNLV will deal with. I like the Player Zero tournament. I think it gives them a chance to play 2 and 3 good games. Is there a game outside of Kansas? And it could be, I mean, you tell me, is it at San Diego State? Is there a conference game? Like, what's the other really important game on the schedule that they have to win? I'm leaving out New Mexico. Who is it?
Well, I mean, Reno, of course, but that was going to be my answer. I like the San Diego State game. I think over the years when they were both in the Mountain West, that become such a fun rivalry, brought the best crowds. Winning in San Diego is virtually impossible, yet UNLV pulled some rabbits out of their hat a few times. And I think that's a fun rivalry, and I'm glad they're continuing it. And that game definitely stands out. And listen, I like SMU. I think they've got a nice little program. I like the neutral court scene in Phoenix. You got to start stacking some wins somewhere. And when Selection Sunday comes, and with the potential of an expanded field, you've got to find a way to get into that tournament now. There's no reason not to. This is UNLV.
I want to ask both you guys. John Von Tobel's here. It's Cofield. Ray Brewer, Las Vegas Sun, is on the phone. So the only matchup they kept going from the Mountain West was San Diego State. Do you guys think, like, preseason football here, have you thought about anyone in the Mountain West Conference? Because I still see Pac-12 fans making references to UNLV and money and the victory or loss in the lawsuit. And, like, I haven't thought about any of those schools at all for more than 5 seconds. Ray?
Well, I would say, Steve, that I could care less about Utah State and San Diego State and Boise and whomever else wanted to leave the Mountain West. From day one, I was adamant that the money UNLV was going to get to stay, they needed to scoop up. Secondly, they've got to become a premier 1-2 team in football and basketball for whenever this reconference reshuffle happens. You've got to be the top dog in your league. and this clears out some teams that UNLV had struggled with in basketball, especially.
Ray Brewer is with us. John, have you thought about these old schools, the disloyal five, much? I mean, you had did you write the Pac-12 preview for VSiN?
No, I wrote Mountain West and SEC.
Like, are you concerned? I mean, I guess once the season starts, and if UNLV gets off to a good start, then you have to start looking around at other group of sixes to see how they're doing.
Yeah. No, I haven't really thought about it too much. I have an affinity and a tie to Fresno State just because I have family in the area, so I would I think about that often, like being able to make trips out there, do stuff like that. But for the most part, I have not thought about that. And I also think, too, it's a little bit more because UNLV football has not been this power that it is right now over the last few years. In basketball, I think I find myself thinking about those teams a little bit more. Like, I find genuine joy in having them keep on San Diego State in basketball, things like that. But I think it's really been because of the Rebels' place in the football landscape that I have not really cared too much about that and the way that looks.
Ray, I saw you point out that Lindy LaRock put together a hell of a schedule, too, in the non-con.
Yeah, don't you love that game against UConn? It's, play if you want to be the best, you've got to beat the best, and a great measuring stick for your program. And I know Lindy likes a lot of the younger players they've brought in, and they're kind of trying to build something special there. A local kid, love her dad, Al, of course, and I just think that's going to be such a fun night for her program, and maybe an opportunity to, catch some eyeballs in the UNLV sports community to support these ladies. I think that's awesome.
Okay, well, we set this up to talk a little high school football as well, Ray Brewer. So I just talked about the disloyal five and the Mountain West and the Pac-12 splitting up. I mean, the split in high school football in Southern Nevada is kind of earth-shattering. What is the mood? And I know we've got a week in the books, but what's the mood around what is going to be a bizarre situation?
I tell you what, man, I think this really is a national story when you've got the Clark County School District, which has 280,000 students, in Southern Nevada, which is like 85% of the state's population, saying we're done playing in the NIAA. We don't want to win your state championships because we don't want to play private and charter schools. And we're going to go independent. We're going to create our own league and our own schedule and our own trophies. And every principal and every athletic director and every coach is like, I'm on board. There's not one person that's like, hold on, this is a really bad idea. I want to get a shot at arena school at state. Or, hey, hold on, let's pump the brakes. We've got some good players. We want to give Gorman a battle this year. Every school is all in on getting out of the NIAA. And I find it's really entertaining because the schools that are left playing for state in the top division, there's only 3 teams, Steve and JVT, and those 3 teams have to help populate 2 state championship games. So what that means is Gorman, Faith Lutheran, and Somerset Losia Charter School in North Las Vegas will all play in a state championship game, no matter if they go 0-10 and never score a touchdown.
What a mess. Let's close on this one. You got to go back to the alma mater. You spoke at Chaparral. What did you talk about? What does Ray Brewer give a speech about?
Man, I tell you what, I love that place so much. And, when I went to Chap, it was one of the best-rated high schools in town, and the neighborhood's changed a little bit, but the dreams of those kids, man, it hasn't changed one bit. And when the coach and the woman who does the alumni association asked me to come speak in front of those kids, I was so excited. And usually I just speak from the heart, but I sat down and I wrote something, and I talked about like the star on the helmet and what that means and how you represent all the people that played before you, and how even though they might not be there watching you on game day, they still care about you, and they're still going to LasVegasSun.com to check the score. And I just was all fired up. And then at the end, I told them, hey, I got one request. I said, you bring back our cleat, you beat El Dorado. And the kids were all fired up. I felt like Rex Ryan on Hard Knocks giving a lecture,
All right, close it out and let's go get a D-damn snack. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
Exactly.
Ray, last minute here. Ray Brewer from the Las Vegas Sun. Tell people what you guys are rolling out because it's already started. What do you got going on with high school football coverage?
So tomorrow night is game night. So we'll have our live coverage with the score bugs. Come to our website to get the scores. I know a lot of people like to go to Max Preps, but those are put in by students, not all the time correct. And if you go to our YouTube channel, we've got video previews from our media day with every school where we ask the players and coaches questions. And folks are geeked up. They're ready to go. And all the CCSD schools think they're going to be holding up the Superintendent's Cup or Commissioner's Cup or whatever they decide to call it in 10 weeks.
Ray, thank you. We'll talk to you, buddy.
Appreciate you, Steve and JVT. Have a good day, guys.
Now back to Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas.
Every day around 3:30, we check in on what's going on with UNLV football in the preseason camp. Obviously, we started a little earlier than a lot of schools because they have a Week 0 game on August 29th, so we're looking at, 16 days away. Memphis is in town, and, when I'm out there at practice, one of the guys, as I'm enjoying myself, I think of is John, because, John, you really get into it. There was a conversation the other day with the offensive linemen, and they have something they've dubbed the offensive line room simply the room, but it's about a brotherhood, and I immediately thought of your story last week when you were talking about the chirping that was going on between the offensive linemen and the defensive backs.
Hell yeah. Absolutely.
Where the defensive backs all
Shut the F up! Screaming at each other.
And you
Absolutely tremendous.
The D-backs all came charging.
Yep. All together in one unit. Just these tiny, it's just like tiny little, obviously, 'cause, they're not small guys, but compared to the offensive linemen, they are.
Yeah.
And so when you see a bunch of small guys just swarming, right, all around, you didn't do anything, just screaming at them. Absolutely fantastic.
Defensive back room is very experienced. They got an infusion of a couple of outsiders, but, man, they got a lot of guys back, a lot of experience. They got to get better. It's got to be more efficient than it was a year ago. Cut out the chunk plays. And Akeem Davis, the cornerbacks coach, talked about goals for this season.
We got to go win the whole thing. Just get there. It ain't enough to just, show up. The chip is that we've been there, but we just got to go finish. And so at the end of the day, that's what we want to make sure that we incorporate. That's what we want to make sure that we dial in on, and that's what we want the message to be throughout the entire program until we're done.
What does it feel to be able to play against an offense like Dan Mullen's scheme from the defensive side? Absolutely.
Well, competition is the central theme, and Coach Mullen is a mastermind. And I love working for Coach PG, Coach Paul Gunther. We got him back there, and just being able to learn from him, his schematics, and then Mike Shear, that's come along and that's done helped us. And then Cap Didi, that's done been a part of some big-time programs. I think the coaching staff that Coach Mullen has put together is a world-class coaching staff from top to bottom. And, shoot, you see those players out there competing, but I promise you, man, us coaches, we up there, we compete trying to give our guys the best edge to go out on the field and be successful at the end of the day.
Well, last year, John, one thing I was dead wrong on, I thought the defensive backs would be one of the strengths of the team, and it just never worked out. Way too many chunk plays. They got picked on in some big games. New Mexico got them a bunch. Poor communication on run support against Boise. So they've got to be better, but they do have most of the guys back. And they just got, in addition, I don't think they expected, in LaTerrence Welch. So he moves into the mix. So they've got a bunch of experience. We'll talk more tomorrow about Avery Helm, who's the one guy they brought in. He's not just the one guy. He's one of the guys they brought in from the outside because they brought in some young dudes to play safety and potentially cornerback.
Mm-hmm. Now with good pedigree.
Yeah. So I gave you the depth chart. I'll say the one area I'm worried about a little bit is depth at the safety positions. Guys have to come quickly behind Fulton and Pope. Mm-hmm. But at cornerback, they're in real good shape. And their nickelback is Mumu bin Wahad, who's got a lot of experience. The biggest thing with this group is they got to stay healthy because the guys they have back, like Denver Harris, has a great pedigree. I think it was a wrist, whatever. He had a cast on his arm, one of his arms, for like half the season. He just never got going. Mumu actually had, I think, a lower body injury, we'll call it, at the beginning of the season, so it took him a while to come along. So they got to have health on the back end. And the other thing is both of the starting safeties have to take another step. Mm-hmm. Pope and Fulton have to be better.
I mean, to me, that is what seems to be what's going to be at stake this season listening to Gunther and Mullen talk about the lack of install or the ability to install the way they wanted to last year, but coupled with the returning personnel and Gunther's now stability at the position, I think the thing that you're looking for is just be better, which it sounds like it's easy to say, but it's true. Like, okay, now you can install the way you want. Now you can actually add intricacies to this playbook defensively. You've got guys who were here last time around. There really shouldn't be no excuse in terms of the actual scheme that you're trying to put in. You guys just have to execute at a higher level and not allow those issues that popped up last year to come to fruition again.
It's Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas.
Every Thursday, we get a chance to check in with our buddy at VSiN 1230 The Game. Scott Seidenberg, who's bumped up an hour here because we got some preseason football that we want to get to, and I think Scott's heading out to the Al. What's on the docket tonight? The Raiders and Cardinals, huh?
Yeah, going to check out the game. Going to get my first look at Fernando Mendoza in person, and might even try some of the new food options at Allegiant Stadium. I'm very much looking forward to the concession stands. I know JVT doesn't eat that stuff anymore, but I'll tell him what it tastes like.
Wait, no, what is this? What new options? I didn't know that this was a thing.
I'm just curious. Every season, don't teams put out new options? I feel like they have like a new Fernando Mendoza special or something. I'm just going to walk around and see everything that's new at the stadium and anything that I can get my hands on and feed myself.
Yeah, I'm surprised that he's going to be out there. It's very close to the Strip, so I wouldn't be.
Well, you're really caught up on this. I don't even know if Scott saw it. You want to explain to Scott in the audience again?
Scott, he had a quote when he was talking about the Strip, talking about how it's a boogeyman and a haunted house and that he can't go near the Strip. And I just keep thinking that he's mentally frail and just cannot be anywhere close to that source of pure evil that we call the Las Vegas Strip. But that's just me. I won't question the prince that was promised in Fernando Mendoza. Let me ask you, we saw the news, Carson Beck not going to play, has a rib injury. The Raiders are a team that has a new head coach. Those tend to perform pretty well in the preseason. How have you handled this with the Raiders here today against the Cardinals from a betting standpoint? I think right now we're looking at the screen. Raiders are about a 3.5 point favorite. Total's 41.5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, I mean, I'll be honest, I can admit when the market goes against me and I'm wrong. I previously bet the Cardinals plus 2.5 prior to the Carson Beck news, and I got stung by the news, finding out that he's not going to play at all because of that injury. But I still feel good about the Cardinals. Obviously, I feel better about them at 3.5, and that's why I would wait until kickoff to see if you can get the best of this number and take the Cardinals plus 3.5. And the reason why I like it is because there's a massive trend of teams that are playing their second preseason game coming off the Hall of Fame game versus teams playing their first preseason game. And I think the Cardinals have that advantage having played last week as opposed to the Raiders getting their first look here. And then you look at the quarterbacks that we're going to see in this game. Kirk Cousins for whatever amount of time, but then Clint Kubiak told us Fernando Mendoza is going to get plenty of reps. So we're going to see him for extended amounts of time here. And on the other side, we're going to get Jacoby Brissett and we're going to get Gardner Minshew. We thought we were going to get Carson Beck, but now we might actually get more Gardner Minshew, which I think gives the Cardinals a little bit of an advantage over the Raiders. And then I tweeted this out earlier, guys. If you look at the number one overall pick quarterbacks over the last 4 seasons, the last 5 seasons or so, just look at the last couple of number one overall picks quarterbacks. You go back to Trevor Lawrence, I guess, in 2021. You have Trevor Lawrence, Caleb Williams, Cam Ward, right, a season ago, Bryce Young. None of them have thrown a touchdown pass in their first preseason performance. Combined, the 4 of them went 19 of 30 for 254 yards and 0 touchdowns. The only quarterback that won their preseason debut was Caleb Williams. The Bears just decimated their opponent that year. But everyone else, and even Caleb, they underperform. It's going to be a learning curve. I don't think Mendoza just dominates here tonight. I'm going to fade the Raiders, and I'm going to take the 3.5 here with the Arizona Cardinals.
How do you handle, or maybe you don't, but how do you handle some of these weird first-half lines? The Bengals are a good example. They're 6.5, 7-point favorites for the game. They're 7-point favorites for the first half. A lot of it's tied into the starters playing, but when you're behind information like this, I tend to try to want to push back. I thought the opener of 3.5 factored in that the Bengals were playing their starters, but how do you handle this, especially when you see some of these wonky first-half and full-game splits?
Yeah, I looked at that with the Raider game in particular because I wanted to just back the Cardinals then in the first half, right? Yep. Because if part of my handicap was on Carson Beck playing the second half and me having an advantage with how good he looked last week and that's gone, then maybe I should isolate the first half. But then I looked and I saw 2.5 for the first half. I don't want any part of Cardinals plus 2.5 for the first half. I'd rather wait and see if I can get a 3. And I think that's what you're going to see here with these first half lines, guys, is because of the liquidity being so low, right? And the limits being so low, it might only take one market mover to place a bet to manipulate a first half line, whereas it would take more money and more bets during a regular season game to manipulate a first half line. One person putting a nice limit bet in on the Raiders in the first half is going to move this from 2.5 to 3. So I think if you like the dog, wait until post because you want to see where the money is going to go, where the late money is going to go. But I don't think it takes as much in the preseason as it does in the regular season to move a market in the first half.
Did you do anything with the other preseason games? Green Bay, Pittsburgh is the first one along with Detroit, Cincinnati. You get Indy and New England, Chargers, Texans, and then 49ers hosting the Titans.
So I like the under a lot in the Titans and 49ers game, and I'm just scared because of how many overs we saw last year in week 1 of the preseason, plus the market just keeps steaming up towards these overs. Right now I'm looking at the board. This thing shot up from, 38 to now 39.5, 40. I'm waiting to see if a 40.5 or a 41 might show up by the time we get the kickoff tonight at 9 o'clock Eastern time. But look at the quarterback situations we're going to get here. The 49ers are going to roll out Curtis Rourke and Adrian Martinez in this game tonight. And then the Titans, Robert Saleh wants to establish a culture. He's going to play his starters, so you'll see Cam Ward for a little bit. But then you'll see Trubisky, Levis, Hendon Hooker maybe. But Saleh wants to establish a defensive culture. And so he's going to go out there and try and set the tone defensively. Plus, these teams played joint practices this week, which got physical. There's a respect level between Robert Saleh and Shanahan to the point where I can see both of these teams not wanting to get anybody injured and just playing out the string here in the fourth quarter of the second half, saying, let's get out of Dodge. We had a great week of joint practice, good preseason game. We're both healthy. Let's move on. So I think it tends to be a lower scoring game tonight between Tennessee and San Francisco. Maybe it's a live under. Let's say the Titans score in their first drive. I would be interested in maybe a live under on an adjusted total.
Anything in Chargers Texans?
No feel for it because I give the advantage to kind of to the Chargers. Just like, is that crazy to say Trey Lance has the advantage when he's in the game? I don't know. But between Trey Lance and DJU, I mean, maybe that's better than Graham Mertz. Davis Mills is an NFL caliber backup, right? We've seen him start games before. I don't know what to expect. All of these lines, this is crazy. You know, you've seen so much movement in these preseason markets. The Titans were 2.5-point favorites, and then they moved to a 6-point favorite. The Chargers were plus 1.5. Now they're minus 1.5. So much steam on all of these games. I used to think that chasing the steam in the preseason was the right move. I've been proven wrong last year. So I'm curious to see how the steam moves go this season.
Any shot that you want to try, Steve? DJU's last name?
I'm okay on it.
That sounds like, yeah, there we go. I was going to say, I'm okay on it. It sounds like somebody who can't say it.
Well, because I always get the Lele part incorrect. There's like alternate pronunciation. So I was on it. I was good with DJ.
Uiagalelei?
Yeah. Well, I have a lot of practice with UNLV's linebackers are the flying Hawaiians.
That's a good point.
Yeah, it's not easy.
I'm a big Jaron Kiave-Sangapulatele guy as well. So
you really flex on that one. I think it's the only Hawaiian name you're actually good at.
What about the quarterback from Cal? Can you give that to me?
That's what he gave you.
Yeah, Jaron Kiave-Sangapulatele. There you go.
The problem is he mispronounced it and you didn't understand it. Exactly. He didn't nail it.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you mean? Yes, I did.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Scott Seidenberg's with us, Better Day Podcast. I don't want to have an explosion over that. I want to look at odds to make or number of teams to make the college football playoff. Not in the Big Ten, the SEC, but I just want your read first on the ACC and with an over-under of 1.5 teams from the ACC to make the CFP. What do you want to do?
Miami's obviously the class of this conference, and there's so many expectations on Darian Mensah this year. I can envision a world where SMU gives them a fight, but this is a one-bid league in my opinion, and it's most likely going to Miami if Darian Mensah has the season that he's going to have. I just don't see two ACC teams getting into the college football playoff. To me, there's too many other better teams in the bigger conferences that I can't envision a scenario where both SMU and Miami get in.
Big 12?
Same thing. It's Texas Tech or pass, right? I mean, who else in the Big 12 do you think has the path to get to the college football playoff? You know, if you're looking at like a team that maybe could get to the conference championship and surprise, like Utah, Devin Dampier has another good season. They can get to the conference championship, but the talent level on Texas Tech is going to be too much for anybody else in that conference, in my opinion. One bid league. If I was forced to make a bet right now, it's under 1.5 on Big 12, under 1.5 on ACC.
BYU plus 350. And then you're right. After that, there's a big drop off. You mentioned Utah, and then the next team, at least as I'm reading the board here, William Hill, is Kansas State all the way down at what is that, plus 1,000. So.
Yeah. I think BYU is probably a pretty good option. I mean, it's
just a matter. How do you feel about Bachmeier?
Oh, I think he can be pretty good. I think he's generally a pretty good quarterback, but I also think it's about their schedule too. Like they only run into Notre Dame, they don't get Texas Tech in the regular season. So in theory, if they lose their two biggest games, would a 2-loss BYU team with the second loss being in a conference championship game, would that be enough to get into the college football playoff? And the 2 losses being Notre Dame and Texas Tech.
Now you have to pin them up against other 2-loss teams. Yep. Like I'll give you, what if Penn State goes 10-2, right? I know no one's really high on Penn State this year, but you go 10-2 in the Big 10 versus 10-2 in the Big 12, and you lost the only 2 ranked opponents that you played against. I think I'd rather favor the Big 10 team.
Mm-hmm. Penn State's plus 375 at William Hill to make the playoff. Do we have a thought on Michigan? Scott, what's Michigan going to be this year? Have you handicapped Michigan?
There's so much like off the field stuff with Michigan that I feel like everyone's writing them off and just kind of forgetting about them. They have talent. The team can still win games. I have not picked them to be a playoff team. I did not pick them to be in the conference championship. I think there are much more complete teams in the Big Ten than Michigan. But I wouldn't be surprised if Michigan goes over their win total. I wouldn't be surprised if people are just forgetting about the talent that they have. The roster's talented. There's just too much stuff going on off the field that I think kind of deters people away from the Wolverines this year.
They're plus 300, and if their quarterback isn't ready again, oh boy,
yeah,
that could be trouble.
But look at but the schedule, they have some brutal games. Like you're talking about, going to Oregon, obviously going to Ohio State at the end of the year. I think there could be a hiccup. Like I said, I like Penn State. What if Penn State, wins in Ann Arbor this year? Then you're talking about, are you rah? They have to. That's a tough trip. Greg Schiano's going to have them chopping wood. Come on.
Let's go back to where we started with Scott Seidenberg, and that is the Taco Bell Cantina option for Mendoza. You make the big bucks. It's $25.
What?
You get what? The Mendoza special, you get 5 crispy chicken strips, Doritos, Locos, Tacos, nacho fries, and nacho cheese. I don't know if you get a drink with it, but $25. Will you do it? A fancy Taco Bell at the Owl?
In theory, I say yes. But I have to admit something here that's going to ruin my street cred, especially at Allegiant Stadium and especially here in Las Vegas. I don't do spicy food.
Oh, really?
I have an extremely low tolerance to spicy food. I mean, people make fun of me and they say mayo is spicy for me. I cannot handle any type of spice. So the chicken, I've tried that chicken strips from Taco Bell.
Too spicy
for me.
No way.
Yeah,
all right. No way. Oh, I love this. Oh, wow. This could be a talking point the rest of the season. We might have to bring up the spicy food item of the week and see if Scott can do it. Wow.
I have tried. I'm telling you, I smell regular buffalo wings and I have a reaction.
Oh, no way.
I can't do it. Dude. I can't do it.
We are up against it. I know you're running out, man. I appreciate you being flexible today. We're back on the next Thursday at 4:45. Thank you so much. Enjoy the game tonight.
All right, guys. I'll report back from Allegiant.
Better Day Podcast. Not going to have the Taco Bell because the chicken strips are too spicy.
It's Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas and ESPN Reno.
Well, I'm glad Scott Seidenberg admitted that he wouldn't be able to handle the Mendoza special because he thought the fast food was going to be too spicy for him. That's crazy. I'm not like a spice lord. I watched you eat wings last week. What'd you get?
The mango habanero.
They were getting you a little bit?
A little bit.
What was that super hot sauce you got?
Oh, the blazing sauce over at Buffalo Wild Wings.
Was it good?
Yeah, it was good. because they have the Blazing Challenges, their hottest sauce, 57, 10? I can't remember the number. It's one of those where I could tell that it builds up on the Scoville scale?
Not sure.
I believe that's what it's called.
I've heard it, but I don't know the correct terminology or pronunciation. Let's
I'm right.
bring in Xavier Pope. I assume most vegan food kind of sucks and is bland and
Sure.
needs a bunch of spice.
Understand.
Is that true, EP?
That's incorrect, Steve. And how do you get spices? How do you get herbs? Those things are vegan. How do you get salt, pepper? These are things.
That's a good point.
Meat by itself doesn't taste great. You have to actually season it.
Fair point. Where are you on the spiceometer? Are you kind of mid-level or do you go crazy?
I think I'm gonna go like medium hot. Like I kind of like I don't like I want to be able to taste my food.
Yeah.
So I want a little bit of a bite, but I don't want it to be like so overwhelming that I don't even know what I'm eating.
What did you put in your vegan paella?
Oh my God! First time trying to make it, Steve. I want to say that's one of the best things I've ever cooked. It was designed to be after a Spanish style. I put in mushrooms, sun-dried tomatoes, my plant-based protein. I also had artichokes, which is traditional in those dishes as well. Red peppers and mushrooms. So chock full of things.
I've never asked you, do other people eat your vegan food, or are you the only one judging it?
No, people actually do eat my food because, A, it looks delicious. Steve, you must admit, that pan looks spectacular, by the way.
It looked very good. And most of the items you put up, because you know how dangerous it is, when you put food up on social media, you can get dragged.
Yeah, and I never get dragged, though, Steve. Never. So I like food that's also appealing physically. Like, this looks like it's something I would eat. So I also make sure that my food actually looks good. But every time someone tries a vegan dish I make, they go like, "Oh my God, I could actually live like this. I see why you live like this." Layering flavors and getting the texture right, getting the layers of spices right. That's clutch though. So you got to be able to understand flavor profiles, food science, and those different things like that.
All this fancy talk from Xavier Pope. He's an attorney. He is our voice of reason, our cultural contributor here on Cofield and Company as we're on ESPN Las Vegas, ESPN Reno. Okay, I want you to break down, and this is very much at the front end of this, so I hear people kind of killing Jaden Daniels about this, but story out there, an attorney representing the Commies quarterback Daniels informed LSU that it can no longer use his name, image, and likeness, and said that he felt profoundly disrespected after LSU allowed one of their cornerbacks, a sophomore DJ Pickett, to wear his former number 5. Your thoughts on this, and why would he do this?
Yeah. I just think that maybe he wants to control his name, image, and likeness. Since he's out of the game, he doesn't have the opportunity to take advantage of it, and so the school won't use it. But maybe he's upset that the school doesn't retire his jersey like they did his predecessor at the position. Joe Burrow, who had his number retired. So maybe that's where it's coming from. Otherwise, I mean, it doesn't make it that much sense. Yeah, okay, I know they retired Joe Burrow's number, but generally as a sport, football isn't in the business of retiring jerseys because of the amount of people that wear the jerseys.
Mm-hmm. Well, officially, Burrow's number isn't retired. It is just out of circulation, as they have put it, which makes this move kind of interesting because it seems very ego-driven. And a lot of people pointed out, Exavier, that the statement, it doesn't come from Jaden Daniels, it comes from Jaden Daniels' people, and that maybe the thought of his mother, which has always been a topic of conversation, is actually behind this.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, he's been very active in protecting his image and protecting who he is, and so that potentially might be true. If you ask Jaden Daniels what he thinks about it, will he tell you? He seems to be a little bit more soft-spoken in that area, in my opinion.
What if I throw this wrinkle at you too? I think the cornerback DJ Pickett was promised that he could actually wear 5 when he decided to go to LSU in an NIL era where players can move and transfer. Did LSU have a choice but to not diss Jaden Daniels? What if the kid was like, you know what, I'm not coming back?
That's actually a really great point, Steve. And I think that's something that I think that players have more leverage now than before with the transfer portal, which I know that some quote-unquote hate. But, I mean, we have an era where athletes now have the opportunity at the college level to be able to use their name, image, and likeness or their ability to move with some sort of discernment that they did not necessarily have in the past. I think that's good on him if he did that.
And to add to Steve's point, I mean, Lane Kiffin's new there. So to him, who's more important, Jaden Daniels, who he didn't coach, or the kid that he needs to help him win games when he's out there? And the other point, Exavier, I'm curious if you remember this or not, but back when he left Arizona State, there was the video of Jaden Daniels' teammates emptying his locker for him, somewhat in joy. I do wonder if Daniels, I don't know if mercurial is the right term for it, but seems to be an interesting dude in some of the decision-making, and this seems to add to it when you couple in the fact that the way he left Arizona State, this dude seems to be one of those guys where you hope he doesn't get in his own way because he's very talented, but we've seen a lot of dudes get in their own way.
That's a reach. I think that I don't know whether how he felt it was how his teammates felt about when he left and what those players may have done. Well, may relate to him protecting his image and also protecting his brand, and also to being able to feel slighted from the university that he was very successful at. So I think it's a little bit tenuous at this point. We would probably wait for a little bit more information to find out. Maybe see what Jaden Daniels thinks about where his career stands in terms of how it's viewed in light of his and how he comes back from injury and how he plays, to see really where things stand with him.
I like the word mercurial, because I'm not exactly sure, Exavier, how we describe Russell Westbrook. It didn't seem like the media gave him a lot of respect, but he announced he's going to retire, and he's probably one of the more disrespected players in terms of what he actually accomplished. What do you think of Russell Westbrook in his career?
Russell Westbrook was one of the best point guards in the history of the NBA. I mean, he leads all time in triple doubles. He had multiple seasons averaging a triple-double. Fans and also some of the media got on him for being selfish for getting a triple-double, which seems to be the least selfish stat he could possibly have. Going back to maybe thinking about Will Chamberlain leading the league in assists and how people talk about that. I just think that he's got a bad rap, and then he also got with the Lakers, and I think his stint with the Lakers it really tarnished him a little bit, and I think that was really unfair. There were other issues with the teams that he was involved in that had nothing to do with him, and how that team acted after he left was also kind of peculiar. But he was an explosive player. He and Derrick Rose at the time were some of the most explosive, smaller guys to get to the hoop. It's possible. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. It's not. Just because the league changed how it's set up and teams are to win, he could have won championships at Oklahoma City before that team was broken up. So I think that he had a spectacular career, got a really bad rap in the social media era, and I think people will look back at his career as the years pass on and say, hey, he was really a great guard.
Follow Exavier Pope up on Threads. On your Threads account, you also found a really good angle story here. I had never heard this story about one of his high school friends.
Yeah, one of his high school friends who prematurely passed away that was taller than him, a 6'6" guy, and they agreed that they would go play at UCLA together, where Russell Westbrook played, but Russell Westbrook at the time was much smaller. And then the player wound up passing away, and Westbrook wound up using his career to honor his fallen teammate. And we talk about his passion, his drive, and how he played for two. But that's something he also did in terms of Los Angeles, the city, that city, and how his relationship with Nipsey Hussle was. And he was just someone who played passionately, and he cared about people. And a lot of people talk about him off the court and say, hey, this is a really great guy, not just on the court, but off as well.
Exavier Pope up on Cofield and Company, ESPN Reno, ESPN Las Vegas. I think the most fascinating story for the potential of what could come out this week in sports is the Lakers are being sold by Mark Walter and all the different connections with the new group. I'm not even going to lead you in on anything. What do you think of this? What do you think happened here?
What happened is that UEFA got together and said we're not going to deal with this type of purchase of FIFA, and then they just immediately pivoted over into purchasing the Los Angeles Lakers. And meanwhile, there's an owner who only owns a major ownership stake for a year, $10 billion, which was also huge at the time, turns around, sells it for $12.5 billion in the middle of him being investigated by the SEC for how he mismanaged his insurance profits and how that impacts his other holdings. But the Lakers is the only portion that he's selling a piece of. It just looks and it makes things to high heaven, and how fast it turned around stinks even more. Usually the deals like this happen a little bit further over time. It just stinks. It just seems like the speed in which this happens definitely just does not smell right, Steve.
I cannot wait until the Sparks are also sold off by Mark Walter, and the new owners are Carolyn Levitt and Janine Pirro.
I mean, we just, I got nothing, Steve. We're the weirdest of times.
We are. Okay, we got 2 minutes left.
These are all just coincidences.
Not enough time to handle this one, but let's go with, I guess, one of the bigger angles on this story: the WNBA and the transgender thing, and Enes Kanter and Royce White trying to get into the league. And then I saw up on Threads you had a whole thing about this transphobia, transgender thing, when there really are no athletes who are actually participating in all these sports that supposedly are going to overrun sports.
Yeah, I think Enes Kanter and Royce White, who lost to Michelle Tafoya of people in Minnesota. I mean, that's a whole other angle in terms of her former ESPN reporter and sideline person, and who went MAGA herself. I just think that these people are looking for ways to get attention to themselves and to make money, and they feel like this is the best way to do it. And I think that these people are below level intelligence, below level in terms of their ethical and their moral compass, and they feel like they have to go for this to be able to earn a buck, earn a living, and then and it's a fake outrage to create things that don't exist, to get people upset about something, to rally behind something that absolutely has no probative value whatsoever.
We got 30 seconds left. Sort of connected to this was the Stephanie White rant the other day, which I think is the way to go with this, and start really castigating people out there who are trying to divide the WNBA, and just bring it up publicly. Just say it. Cut it out.
Yeah, I think the WNBA has become a political lightning rod. And then there are certain people who think that the political lightning rod is increasing the value of the NBA because people are paying attention to it. But I think it's being paid attention to for the wrong reason. Ryan Clark talked about all the different storylines that have happened over the course of the year. That are great to hear about Olivia Miles and the Lynx, and the Washington Mystics being on a 7-game winning streak, and all the great things that happen in the NBA. It's not being focused on the court. It's being focused on all the issues that are dividing in our politics.
Xavier, thanks for being flexible today. Love you, buddy. We'll talk to you.
Love you guys.
Let's do a giveaway right here. Guns N' Roses is going to be playing in Vegas August 22nd at the Owl, Legion Stadium. Ticketmaster.com is where you can get your tickets if you don't win this pair to see Guns N' Roses. Caller 7-364-1100, 364-1100. We open the show talking about the basketball schedules coming out around the Mountain West, so we do know when Nevada and UNLV will play. Shannon Kelly from Nevada Sportsnet is going to join us on Hoops and Wolfpack football.
This summer, skip the airport chaos and hit the...
It's Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas and ESPN Reno.
Football's coming. Preseason football going down tonight with 6 games, 2 games underway already. Raiders over at the Owl against the Cardinals. Make sure you tune in to Raider Nation Radio 920 for all the coverage before and after the game with the Raiders playing the Cardinals. But we know the Pack have started their training camp, their preseason camp. We got some football news in Northern Nevada to get to, and also some basketball news. And Shannon Kelly is back on board with Cofield and Company with JVT and Steve Cofield. Shannon, how are you?
Hey, guys. I'm doing good. It's been a while. Thanks for having me back on again. I always love chatting with you guys on Thursdays.
Fired up to talk more Pack football this year. I had a chance to sit down with Jeff Choate. And, I told you before, I find him fascinating. I think he's a cool guy to cover because he's very open about his program. He got on me a little bit. He claimed I misquoted him when we were talking, but that's okay. Let's talk about the fan interest, first of all, because I know that Nevada did a fan fest. How did that go, and where was it?
Yeah, so Nevada held a fan fest last Saturday to wrap up the first week of fall camp, and Nevada had their fan fest. And, yeah, there was a decent showing of fans that came out. I think it's just tough given how Nevada has just struggled the last 4 seasons. I mean, going 10-39 the last 4 years. I mean, fans aren't as excited about football, I feel like, in this community as they once were, specifically during the Jay Norvell era. And I think, can this be the season that Nevada can change that narrative around and turn things around and get back to a bowl game? So I think it'll be interesting to see. But, I mean, the Fan Fest was cool for, for the players and for some young kids to interact with the players and see them. But I think it's just tough when you've had 4 straight losing seasons. It's hard to get people excited to want to come out to certain events leading up to the season.
When you get a chance to talk to fans, where do they direct their ire the most? Is it at the school, the university, the program, the status of college football? Why do they think that they're here in this moment?
Yeah, I think a lot has to do with just this new era of college sports. And I think people, are realizing it's just tough for a group of 5 schools just to be able to try and compete and stay afloat when in this NIL transfer portal era, kids can be here for a year, and if they don't like it, they can go somewhere else. And that wasn't necessarily the case. I think when you look at this program that Jeff Choate has this year, he was able to retain some of his best players, and he wasn't able to do that a year prior. And that's a huge credit to, people stepping up and being able to, help pay these players to retain them, to keep them here. He stressed that this offseason, returning Dylan LaBarbera, Jack Foster, Zach Kokenauer, being able to keep those guys have been huge. So I think now it's a matter of, hey, hopefully, I really do hope that this community will come on out and support this team, because we've seen it before. I think the stands were full during the Jay Norvell era, and can they get back to that point? Will be interesting to see.
I know that captains were named recently. Who are some of the names that earned the honor, and why does that matter?
Yeah, 2 of those captains are LaBarbera and Foster. And Coach Choate said he didn't need a team vote. I mean, those guys have shown this offseason why they deserve to be captains and how they're, quote, the undisputed leaders on their sides of the ball. And he made that very clear during his first press conference at fall camp. And, he spoke a lot about them at media days, and he spoke very highly of them at media days. Like, they do so much to help set the tone on each side of the ball. So they'll be season-long captains, which is something the Wolfpack hasn't had. In consistent years. Last year, Nevada had 4 season-long captains, but to have just 2 of them, that'll be a first under Coach Choate here.
I'm going to take a side street really quickly at the risk of getting Steve angry, but I have to do this because you're the only connection I have in Reno. Do you watch Game of Thrones? Are you familiar with Game of Thrones?
Oh, God.
I'm not familiar enough with it. I've watched it before a time or two because my husband watches it, but I wouldn't know enough.
Well,
I know.
Because there's a new show.
I guess I got to watch it then.
Well, it's not even the show itself. There's a new show that came out, 6 months ago, Steve? Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. The main character, the Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, his name is Sir Dunk. He is giant. He's like 6'6", blonde, just a massive human being. And so I need someone to pass along that when and if Luke Duncan wins his quarterback job, he needs to be referred to as Sir Dunk as we move forward.
Okay, I think I'm going to have to pass along that message then to him for you.
Is he going to win the job?
Then we can. I think it's hard. I think. So Coach Choate said how he wants to name a starter sooner rather than later, just given with this new offensive scheme under new offensive coordinator Brett Bartoloni, how, it'll be tailored a little bit based off who the starting quarterback is. And I think after this first scrimmage, probably after the second scrimmage for sure, but maybe after this first scrimmage, one of them will start to solidify themselves. It's hard to say. I think they've been mixing and matching at practice, between Jones and Duncan, running with the 1s and with the 2s. Part of me feels like Carter ends up starting the Western Kentucky game, just given his familiarity, just with the program for a little bit longer, and just given that he's the guy who's coming back. But I wouldn't be shocked either if it was Luke Duncan. So right now I feel like it's still too early to say. We'll see how these 2 scrimmages go the next 2 weeks.
Shannon Kelly's up on Cofield and Company as we're on ESPN Reno and ESPN Las Vegas. There are Vegas dudes on the roster for the Wolfpack, and I know you guys pointed out at Nevada Sportsnet. One of them is a Bishop Gorman kid, a linebacker, City College of San Francisco, and actually got a little bit of a recommendation from former Nevada player Brandon Marshall.
Yeah, this was really cool. Alosio Mailua, he went to Bishop Gorman down in Vegas, as you mentioned, then went up to City College of San Francisco. And, I asked him, I said, hey, was the Wolfpack your only FBS offer? And he said, yeah, it was. He's like, actually, former Wolfpack star Brandon Marshall helped put in a good word for me. He wanted me to come here out of high school. And I didn't even realize that Brandon Marshall was his coach over at Bishop Gorman as well, one of his position coaches. So that was pretty cool. To hear and, just to hear how he said, Marshall really taught him how to be disciplined and how to be competitive. So just really cool to see a kid that's from Vegas, having some success up here and finding his way after not having any FBS offers out of high school either. And he said he's looking forward to that game at the end of the season, long ways away, but he's looking forward to playing in front of some family down in Vegas at Allegiant in November.
I saw the note on Nevada Sportsnet, kind of a neat deal with local firefighters. What are the players doing?
Yeah, they were writing thank you notes for the firefighters who have been battling the couple of wildfires just north of here, which is just crazy to think that not far from here, I think it's about 100,000 acres now that have burned. Hard to believe there's even that much open land. But the firefighters, they were writing some thank you notes to them, which is a really classy gesture. So thoughts and prayers going out to them and all those who have been affected by the wildfires.
Let's talk about the basketball schedules that came out. UNLV just came out the other day, and I know you noticed that UNLV and the Pack are going to meet up on January 30th down here, up there on February 27th, very close to the end of the season. And hey, last year the edge was with Nevada, and recently the edge has been with Steve Alford. What is the feeling around Wolfpack basketball? Because from my perspective, they are one of the favorites going into the season in the Mountain West Conference as, I think, a top 3 team.
Yeah, I think so too, and I think fans are really excited. I think, just in speaking with some of the guys this offseason and getting to know the new players, I think fans are really excited just from what the comments we've seen on social media and the buzz of, Nevada's going to play St. Mary's over at the Tahoe Blue Event Center in November early on in the season. They're going to host Utah in an exhibition game middle of October. So I think fans are excited. I think just given how Nevada was able to retain some of its top players as well, and Elijah Bryson and Vaughn Williams, keeping those two guys was key. And, Steve Alford's brought in a handful of transfers that should hopefully be able to make an impact too. So not to look too far ahead, but I think it will be exciting come October. I think fans are really excited about basketball and going back to my point before, hopefully football can get some support this year too.
Last one, I saw a good feature on a Reno native who was playing in Sacramento. Tell us about Drew Anderson.
Yeah, this was really cool. The Galena High kid, he was drafted back in 2012, made his debut in the MLB about 5 years later, and then he actually spent 4 years, the last 4 years or so, playing over in Japan and Korea, and then the Tigers signed him on to a one-year deal this offseason, and he's been, pitching quite a bit out of the bullpen. So just really cool just to see the path that he's been on. And to catch up with him while the Tigers were in Sacramento recently. But it'll be cool to see if he can continue to succeed. But, he really had to find himself there overseas, and he pitched well enough to get an opportunity to come back to Detroit's organization. So cool to see when hard work certainly pays off.
Shannon, you're the best. Glad to have you back on board. We'll talk to you every week about what's going on in Northern Nevada. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Have a good week. Talk to you next Thursday.
They need to get out of the gates. Well,
Nevada?
Yeah. Western Kentucky at home. Montana State at home, which, by the way, not an easy game.
No.
Oh. And then at Middle Tennessee State, and then right into the frying pan in conference against an Air Force team that will be better. What was your read on the vibe on the Fan Fest? That didn't sound great.
No, it didn't. The way she put it, it's fine.
Oh, no.
I mean, you can't blame them. It's kind of become, what are you supposed to be passionate about with the football program?
I like Chode. I like the way he speaks. I believe that he can turn it around.
I think that may be, but by the standards set by the betting market and others, I think they're going to be somewhat good this year.
What's the standard set?
Like 4.5 is the win total. I think they can win 5 games.
Okay. 5, he gets to keep his job. I was thinking bowl game.
I mean, I think they have a chance to get in a bowl game.
But this quarterback better be the right guy, because that's been the biggest problem.
Yep.
If you choose the wrong quarterback, I mean, it's the linchpin. The whole thing comes crashing down. Ace Spotlight coming up in about 15 minutes, and John's been working out a lot, so of course we got to talk about that.
It's Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas and ESPN Reno.
You know, during football season, I become real nosy. By the way, we're getting ready for Raiders coming up here in about 30 minutes, so we'll give you updates. Again, the game will be over on Raider Nation Radio 920. I become real nosy during football season. I find myself asking everyone what they weigh. Now, there's a purpose to that when I'm at football practice. Like the other day, I asked Jake Pope of UNLV, like, "Hey, what do you weigh right now? Like, you put on some weight, right?" And he's like, "No, actually, I actually lost 2 pounds." He's like, "I wanted to drop some weight."
Drop 2 pounds.
And I was like, "Why?" He's like, "Just because." What, is it a vanity thing? Like, he wouldn't answer. I'll believe
Probably
me,
leaning out.
I will get to the bottom of it. I mean, you're
Looking
right.
cut.
You can lean out and look bigger.
Yeah.
Caleb Herring had told me this was, in a conversation off the air. No, he actually said it on the air, that he thought Jake Pope looked a little bit bigger. But I will ask a lot of the skinny guys, like Trey Fulton. He weighs 190 pounds now at 6'3.5". Like he said, he weighed 170. So it's information. But I ask you all the time what you weigh.
That's right.
Do I make you feel bad if you've because the other day you're like, I plateaued.
Like, yeah,
I don't think I can lose anymore. And I'm like, okay, I won't ask anymore.
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to like rub it in.
I'm actively trying.
Or hoping that you gain it back. Like, hey, you're up 7 pounds, huh?
Well, no, I actually do think you're hoping I do gain it back.
No,
yeah,
no.
100%.
Not at all.
You 100% hope that I gain it back.
No.
Yeah, 1,000%.
No, I love these conversations.
You also love, like, when people fail.
No,
and
no, I don't.
especially when it comes to this. Because here's the thing. Well, we talk about
not with you.
Right.
With others.
Well, my difference is
we got a lot
hold
of
on,
this.
yeah.
Keep going.
But hold on, my difference is because we've talked about it on the show and it's become a bit about talking about it. But in my everyday life, I will not like go up to people and be like, I know the secret to weight loss. Like I won't. And a lot of people do that, and so I'm not that person. And so generally, I think we all hope that person gets fat again. I have not been that person. I've actually, I think, done a pretty good job. Like, you won't find a social media post about a before and after picture or what I've done. People will come up to me. Actually, one of the wonderful security guards that I always walk by at Circa, an older woman stopped me today, and she's like, I've noticed, like, how much have you dropped? And I asked her, and she's like, she was asking me what I did, and she was like, you look great. Keep it up. And I was like, thank you. Those are my interactions. But with you, because it annoys you, I will send in workout updates every once in a while.
I like it. But you are right. I forgot that I had spoken to you about this, and I forget that I do a radio show sometimes.
Yeah.
And that most of what I talk about it all goes on the air. Yes, we have noticed at Lotus there's at least a couple of people. There's another person who's a regular guest. Like, there's being happy that you lost weight, but I think when you walk around and then you're like, hey, I'm weight loss expert.
Correct.
Like, I think you have to be careful there.
Right.
Like, we had a weight loss contest here. Man, I've been here a long time. Lotus is very nice to me to keep me around. We had a weight loss contest. It may go back to like 2010, and I was a lunatic. And I think I started out probably about where I am now, which is that's awesome how fat I got, in recent times. But I think I started around like 209. And then we actually had we had a deal where we were working out with a trainer, but like you had to go. And I really enjoyed it. And I got down to 171, and then I wore the freaking sweat outfit and got in a sauna, and I won the contest down at 163 pounds. And anytime anyone asked me like how I lost it, I was like, I didn't eat. I didn't say anything else. And I think people like, they get into it and they're like, oh, yeah, let me tell you how. Like, Don't tell me. Don't do that.
Don't have to.
Because most people who are chubby, right, go up and down. Yeah. It's hard to keep the same lifestyle and be dedicated because you had bad habits. You go back to the bad habits. But I got a lot on this. I almost gave in today and hit some fast food.
But you didn't? No AM, PM sandwich?
I'll tell you what. the convenience store food, I have cut down. Now, see, I'm doing it. That is one thing I've cut down like almost completely. And I love convenience store food.
You do?
Oh, my God. And as you point out, the AM, PM chicken sandwiches that I used to buy before I'd get on the UNLV flights.
Keep like multiple ones in his bag.
And then I'd still have the same sandwich in a backpack like after the road trip.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'd find it like 3 days later and I'm like, I'm hungry right now. I need a snack. All right, coming up, a spotlight.
It's Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas and ESPN Reno.
If you want to watch the show, we stream much of the show each day up on YouTube and ESPN Las Vegas on Twitter and Facebook. John Von Tobel's here. It's Cofield, ESPN Reno, ESPN Las Vegas. This part of the show every day is brought to you by Battleborn Injury Lawyer. 766-1400 is the number. You got to dial 775-766-1400 in the north. And the great thing is when you tune in, you'll see just a super trim, muscular-looking John Von Tobel. He's done a great job losing 60 pounds. We like to talk about 67 pounds. Holy crap. A spotlight is coming up here, and I got to talk about pitching. But before that, and I know, again, this is a violation of America's program director, our buddy JTTB, who doesn't like when we talk food.
Let's talk 401ks, though.
The fast food thing is a challenge every day when you're a Tubbo.
And when you're busy, I'll give you some grace.
You're right.
When you're driving
busy,
around. Yeah.
Yes. And that's why convenience stores and fast food places, that's why they do well, because people are in a hurry. So I almost bit today on, I love chicken, the fried chicken, and you know how much I was into. Remember the whole thing with Big Chicken during COVID or like right after?
Mm-hmm.
Big Tobacco, Big Chicken, right? That's how we talk about Big Chicken. And there was like, I think an orchestrated effort to come out with a new chicken sandwich like every 2 months, and then Popeyes, it turned into like people are stabbing each other over it. It got crazy.
The luckiest I've ever been. It was quite literally the day before it really exploded, and I remember seeing it and going, "Oh, let me try this chicken sandwich." Drove to a Popeyes, nobody in line, grabbed 2 of them, one spicy, one regular, left. Good sandwich. And then the next day, 6 people stabbed outside of Popeyes for chicken sandwich. Like lines at the door. It was insane.
It was so much fun.
Magical time.
Not the stabbing part, but it was so much fun. So there's
nobody died.
I'm not going to mention the name of the place because I got a couple critiques. There's a southern-based chicken joint that moved to town, and they've got a location near UNLV. And after practice, I was over there, and I'm like, I still haven't gone there. So here's what I'm going to do, because I'm going to do this. I do try to stay disciplined and not eat too early in the day, right? So I was going to get a couple of chicken sandwiches and bring them home and have them later. And I walked in, and first thing that happened, a guy goes up, and he was making the biggest order ever. And he was like really diligent about the order, and the lady was not paying attention.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he got 17 items, and he was like special order guy too. So I noticed they got a kiosk. So I go over there. I'm like, okay. So I start to order, and then it starts to hit me. I'm like, they're never going to get his food.
Correct.
So I'm already starting to leak oil. I'm like, I'm out of here. So I noticed with this place, interesting couple things. Chicken sandwich, $6.79. Okay, kind of in the middle, right? Not bad. Lettuce tomato is a option for 79 cents. You ever seen that before?
No. Lettuce and tomato extra?
Yeah.
That's weird.
Especially lettuce doesn't have a good name right now.
Right. Well, maybe they know they have good lettuce.
Discount to us for us to take the lettuce.
But maybe they know they have good lettuce, and that's why it's extra. This is the non-diarrhea lettuce.
Okay. Because I like lettuce and tomato. So I actually was going to pay for it. But I've noticed with this place, and I do my research, and I'm cheap. Again, I'm very frugal. I noticed with this place, I've gone on their app, and you cannot find anything that's not in a combo. Everything's a combo.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want a combo. I just want the sandwich. I don't want the fries or whatever. I don't want a soda.
A la carte.
I just want the sandwich. I can't figure it out on the app. So I'm like, okay, maybe I'm old and I am not seeing it. I go in, And I was like, yeah, all right. Chicken sandwich by itself, I can get it. And I was like, I do want to try a breakfast biscuit as well. I could not figure out how to uncombo the breakfast biscuit. And that guy next to me kept going on and on. He's like, okay, can you read it back now? And she starts to read it back. He's like, nope, wrong. I'm like, okay, I'm out. So I hit the wall on the technology, and that guy was special order guy, so I didn't get it. Now, in the end, I'm happy because I don't want to eat stuff like that. Have you ever encountered a place that you, like, all they offer, they basically just force you into getting combos?
Nothing I can think of. It should generally be
lettuce,
a thing,
tomato,
yeah.
upcharge, and only combos.
Yeah.
Now, am I going to go there again?
Probably.
When it's slower? Yes.
I'm big on walking out of places, like, especially when there's a line. The other day,
I do it a lot.
When
I have no patience.
No, dude, me neither. And the other day, I walked into a certain sandwich chain, and I walk in, and I immediately see like 5 teenagers in line, and I audibly just go, nope, and I just turned around and walked out, and like everybody kind of looked at me. I was like, no, like I'm not doing.
They were in line.
Yeah, they were all.
They
in
were
line.
making it.
Yeah, they were in line. They were in line because that's the other thing. I mean, I'm sorry, teenagers suck at ordering all that kind of stuff. It's going to take forever.
What does that mean?
Because they don't have that much money, so like they're gonna like hem and haw, and they're all gonna pay separately, and it's just gonna be a whole thing, and it's gonna be an absolute nightmare. And it's gonna take forever. I don't have the time for that or the patience. I had quite literally nothing to do either.
I will tell you, special order guy. Also, I kind of admired him at the beginning of the order. He's like, "Can you tell me how much each one of these sides costs?" Because it's not on the menu. So I respected that, but then I was also like, I have got no shot of
at
getting
some
my
point.
stuff.
It's fast food. Like, come on, dude.
He was really intense. But here's the thing. I don't blame him because I don't do fast food that often. And when I do, it's gotten worse. Because I'm annoyed already that like everything is now, $13 for a combo. And then you get it and you're like, this is bull crap. What is going on with the quality?
There's one chicken place that I go to that is has a meal that is within my diet parameters that is still very good and very cheap.
What do you don't go breading, right?
No,
do you go just grilled?
No, it's I'm
not doing grilled.
It's a Mexican themed chicken place.
Okay,
yeah. Very good.
I like El Pollo Loco.
Oh, okay, we can name it.
I won't name the other place, but
the Taco El Carbon meal, very good. Just chopped up chicken, onions, and cilantro.
How spicy is it?
Nothing on it. Unless you find onions and cilantro spicy, which maybe some people do.
Okay, dragging this out a little bit because I do have a question for you, which I think tomorrow with all our guests, we're going to ask if this is normal or not because we're without guests the rest of the way, which is kind of the plan. You and I broke bread or wings last week. I got boneless. You got bone-in. Your order was 20.
Yeah.
I was sort of blown away.
What do you mean?
That's not a normal order.
I think 20 wings is a normal amount.
In one sitting?
Yeah. I've had this conversation with
Kobayashi?
Stormy's husband. Like, what do you mean? 20 wings is normal.
Okay. What did Stormy's husband say?
20 wings is normal. He's like 6'5" and giant, but 20 wings is not a crazy amount to down in one sitting.
I don't think I could do more than 7.
You're my witness. I think I got.
I can't.
I think I got 16 or 17 down.
I got boneless. I got 12 boneless because they were cheap, and I did like 6, and I'm like, I'm out. I got to bring these home.
It does remind me. Can I tell you guys?
20 wings in one sitting that's normal.
So we were out at Naked City, and this is where the conversation actually started. It's funny because that was the point of it. Was out there during a Wing Wednesday, I had gotten 20 wings again, and the debate had ensued of how many wings is normal in a normal sitting, and one of our former colleagues is there, and he's a big guy, rotund a bit, right? A little bit of a belly. And
I can't really narrow it down right now.
And he goes, no, I can't. I mean, I can't. Like, I really get full with about 5 or 6 wings. And Stormy's husband looks at him and he goes, "Ain't no way that's the truth." Can't lie to me, brother.
Piling on. That night I actually only had 3. Can I tell you why? There were some high-level sports figures that I looked over and I watched them eat a couple, and I was like, ugh.
Well,
I did not enjoy watching them eat wings.
Yeah, it's true.
Something grossed me out.
In that setting,
and
too.
I love those wings, too.
When somebody orders a lot for a lot of people, I'm just not like, I'm not going to be.
There were giant plates of wings, and then I don't know if people are washing their hands. I don't know how they're picking them up.
Yeah.
And I'm usually not like that. I'm an animal. I really don't care.
Also,
I didn't tell you guys on Monday. So I'll bring in a protein shake that I make at home, and somehow some plastic got in there, and I grinded up some plastic, and I took 2 swigs of it, and I kept picking plastic out, and I kept drinking it, and then like the third swig, I was like, I made it through the rest of the show, but I was like, okay, I'm now going to stop.
Do I get pre-made?
No, it's 99%. I don't know what happened. Some kind
you talk about big chicken.
Some kind of wrap got. I don't know what happened.
Big protein. Tell you that much.
Pricey.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, it's a
for a 12-pack of like pre-made protein shakes.
It's a fallacy. Someone in the house buys those. I'm not doing that.
It's insane.
Yeah.
It's convenience. Also, my
it
tummy,
yourself.
the whey protein kind of gets me. I'm a little lactose intolerant.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
So now you were getting on Scott Seidenberg earlier for not being able to handle the Mendoza meal spice of the chicken fingers.
Right.
But
I mean,
you have
lactose
trouble with whey
intolerance.
protein.
Yeah, lactose intolerance is a little different than not being able to handle like slightly chili dusted powdered chicken strips.
That was still kind of shocking.
And having a reaction to buffalo wings, the smell of them.
I got to read you a quote because this kind of sounds like what you were just talking about. This actually sounds like me eating wings. Quote, somewhere inside I've lost that little bit of an edge that has always made me the pitcher I am. I love this honesty. I want to get back to being that guy. That was Jack Perkins who threw last night for the A's, who has great
Paul
stuff.
Skeens.
Well, we're going to get the Skeens. Jack Perkins, according to Martin Gallego, said Perkins opened about his recent struggles on the mound as he seeks to establish himself as a big league starter. That's hard to hear. I appreciate the honesty. Somewhere inside, I've lost that little bit of an edge. That's how fine it is at that level. Because he's freaking 98, 99 on his fastball, but man, he has not made a transition to be a starter. A lot of other guys have not.
Not at all. I mean, the only guy was Jump for a little bit, and he kind of turned things around last time out. But, yeah, Perkins has been getting absolutely shelled. He's got an ERA over 7 right now. So it's been pretty bad. It's funny because in today's day and age, if baseball and the Athletics were covered a little bit more, I'm sure he would get absolutely destroyed for being as honest as he is. But I'm with you. I like to hear it. It's at least it is the ability to reflect on your own and see what's wrong outside of mechanics, things like that. You do have to have that mental edge. Big pitcher in general is a big mental thing.
Well, I like the whole study of that. When we more and more we hear people having, psych coaches on staffs or, and sometimes I think when baseball teams make a change at pitching coach, I don't know that it's mostly mechanical. I think a lot of it is mental. And so in this case, this kid's been getting shelled and now he's kind of losing the edge. Did you see that Hunter Green is down again with another freaking TJ surgery, the Reds pitcher?
Yep.
That sucks.
It does, because the talent's always been there, but we've always questioned arm-wise, can you do it? Got off to a rough start this year, actually a delayed start, then comes in, pitches really poorly, more elbow issues, and then he's done for the foreseeable future, all of next year, obviously. When you have a talent like that, that really does blow. The constant gaps, because you just don't know when you're going to get it back together either. I know a lot of people might argue that, hey, you come back stronger with the TJ stuff, but I don't know if you do.
Second one?
Right, a second one. I mean, Ohtani had 2. Right? So there is that. And I think, actually, as somebody watched Ohtani when he was with the Angels, I could argue he's gotten better as a pitcher. But I think mentally, that's something that's, to go back to that point, 2 of them, do you trust your own arm? Do you trust your body after it's broken down like that?
Raiders about to kick off here in about 10 minutes. We'll give you updates of what's going on over at Allegiant Stadium. You can hear the game on Raider Nation Radio 920. Little more on this pitcher thing, kind of losing it mentally. And then physically, in the case of Hunter Green, having to get a second TJ. Believe it or not, we'll come back with Kurt Schilling said something I think is kind of smart.
Live from the Findlay Toyota Studios, it's Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas.
All right, here we go. 5 o'clock hour, Cofield and Company. Raider football about to start up on our sister station that is R&R 920 AM. Can hear the call. Cardinals, no Carson Beck. What happened with Beck? Ribs?
Ribs, yeah.
Well, that's a bummer. He's quickly becoming my favorite player. I already liked him coming out of college.
Well, as the only person, again, will be able to do this next year, as the first person you heard this summer say that he could win Offensive Rookie of the Year and was actually going to be pretty good, and then watched him in the Hall of Fame game absolutely destroy the Carolina Panthers.
What were the odds when you said that? Do you remember?
I want to say they were near 30.
Okay, because last week they went down to 18.
Oh, yeah, no.
Off of one preseason game.
So that kind of sucks. But as somebody who's always been a believer in Carson Beck, kind of a bummer. Also because he's just, I think, good. So it's always fun to watch a good quarterback
Are
play.
we the only two? Always been a believer. There's not many.
Well, he was a projected first-round pick for a while, and then he had the bad season at Georgia, had the arm injury. Then he kind of rekindled some magic with Miami, but you could see that there were some limitations, maybe still dealing with the arm issue, whatever, but he's good enough, man. So I had a bet with Matt Humans many, many moons ago that he would be a first-round pick, and Matt did not believe it, and he was right.
We were talking A's baseball and the struggling pitching staff, and Jack Perkins was admitting after the game last night he got ripped up pretty good that right now mentally he's kind of lost it. He's got to get that back. And then we've got guys who are getting hurt like Hunter Green, who throws 100 miles an hour, getting a second TJ, which is devastating to the Reds because the Reds have had a lot of problems with injuries. So maybe there's an organizational issue there.
By the way, I would argue maybe because the Angels had that stretch where every other pitcher was getting Tommy John surgery. So it might be internal.
Kurt Schilling, who I won't lean on for much, but clean or not, he was a very good pitcher in the major leagues, a borderline Hall of Famer. Had very good stuff. He's talking about Paul Skeens. He said, The Athletic has an article asking what's wrong with Paul Skeens. He said, go back and check my social media before the WBC and the post regarding his mechanics. He said, I'm not Karnak. That's a good old reference to Carson. I just did his job for a living and have studied it my entire life. This was predictable, and I predicted it. What he predicted is the max velocity throwers jack up mechanics, and they're putting themselves at massive risk for arm injuries.
But do we know Skeens is injured? I mean, now he's got the telltale signs of velocity's down. His first year in the bigs, his average fastball was 98.8, and this last month it's barely touching 96. So there are signs maybe there's something there. But it's not official yet, obviously. Something it's his weight that he reported in and is still kind of a little bit heavier.
Man, what was that? I didn't know what the hell was going on because I saw shirtless pictures of him. I'm like, he looks fine to me, and he had like a little bit of a roll. I'm like, what are we body shaming the guy?
Well, here's the thing.
By the way,
do you believe the picture's real? Because I never believe anything now.
I think they could add some chubbage.
Correct.
Now, I will say, who was Verlander with? What's that lady's name again?
The swimsuit model.
The giant cans?
Yeah. I'll look right now.
He got body shamed. Real bad. But he also, there was a shot of him from behind.
Kate Upton.
Very soft, mushy arse.
Yeah. Well,
not where we're going to go in a lot of directions here.
No.
Not Chris Berman.
No. Whoa.
That went viral.
Yeah, it did.
Can someone put on the notes on the sheet that Chris Berman arse has to go in our grab bag? Because that got ugly.
What arse?
Well,
no.
So you think you think it could be Skeens is not in premium shape?
Sure. But I also think pitchers are so finely tuned with their bodies that any little change, and athletes in general are, but any little change maybe throws something off. And maybe I'm misremembering this. You would remember this as a Yankees fan, and we were actually ties into what we were just talking about 15 minutes ago. Remember when CC Sabathia lost all that weight? Mm-hmm. And then he was terrible. Mm-hmm. And then he had to get fat again because he didn't understand how to use his own body.
He pitched comfortably at 290 pounds.
Yeah, so he didn't know how to use his body without it, and so he got worse despite the fact that he got healthier. And it might be something like that, where Skeens is just, hey, maybe he is a little bit heavier. And maybe he's just not understanding how to use his body now, because even gaining 10 pounds when you're an athlete who's finally in tune with everything in his body, maybe that's messing with him. And maybe, or maybe, can we go back to the human element too? Dare we say maybe he's in a happy relationship and that kind of stuff happens because he's human too.
Libby Dunn's fault.
I mean, or just his, but still, yeah. It's always a woman.
To counter what Schilling is saying here, can much of baseball be wrong in allowing these guys to go max effort when they pitch? And he's right. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I don't think he's the only one saying it. I've heard this before. And you do watch games now, and you're like, holy crap, everyone out of the bullpen is throwing 98 miles an hour. Yeah. Are they max effort? There seems to be more arm injuries than ever. So I'm not sure what the right side is.
But
I'm
also,
not enough of a pitching expert. But I thought it was interesting that now Schilling, of course, is an opportunist. Although he did say that he was calling this when he was watching Skeens, at the top of his game, saying, "Hey, this is not going to last."
Yeah. Although, I mean, what are you supposed to do? Hey, throw 98%. Don't throw 100.
Yeah.
But how do you do that if do you know how to throw exactly 98% of your velocity?
Oh, I think the great pitchers don't throw full bore velocity.
So, guys,
so much of pitching is changing speeds anyway.
Sure. Yeah, that's fair. And that's why, too, I think you're worried about guys or at least I am, when you hear Mizorowski right before the All-Star break, fatigue, scratch from the start, velo dips a little bit, legs aren't under him. And you're like, how can he keep this up? It's not exactly this, but it feels running back-esque, where these running backs come in and they're like, you've got 3 years to make your money, buddy. And then your body's going to get run down and you're out of here and we don't want you. And same thing with these pitchers, although they're getting paid because they're a premium position. But you've got 3 or 4 years at the top of the mountain, and then all of a sudden, unless you know exactly what you're doing with your mechanics, donezo.
So we got a bunch of great stories that we've hit today, and we kind of hit it rapid fire as we do the 5 o'clock hour here on Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas. By the way, Raiders out of the gates first possession. Kirk Cousins is playing.
Yeah, was that a surprise?
I'm saying he's out there from the get-go. So we'll see when Mendoza comes in. I'm not going to do play-by-play, but 3rd and 7 and completed. I'm 2 seconds behind it. Jack Besh, he's back.
I want to watch this.
He's back. We're just going to do play-by-play.
No, I think I sent it. I know you don't want to, but
Captain Kirk.
These wide receivers are, I think, an interesting watch.
We'll get to it. Give it 10 minutes, because the wide receiver room, I know, is one of the things you want to address. So one of the stories we started yesterday, because that's when it came out, and we hit on it briefly in our 4 o'clock hour. I think there is so much more coming on the Mark Walter sale of the Lakers.
Why, Steve? There's nothing going on here. There's nothing to see.
This is unbelievable.
Just a sale of a team?
The guy didn't own the team for a year. As Arash put very well yesterday and on his social media, Arash Markazi from Sporting Tribune, you can look at this and go, hey, the guy's an opportunist. He bought the team for $10 billion. He had these guys come along who maybe got a little frustrated or a little wary of the price for the expansion team here in Vegas, and they made an offer that was too good to turn down, and Walter's out. The problem is when Walter and his pals bought the Lakers, they did this massive overhaul. They made an effort. You follow the NBA closer than anyone. They really made an effort to start moving in here and changing things. This wasn't like some PE guy who's like, whatever, do whatever you want with it, but I'm going to sell it in a year.
No.
So there were no signs.
No, they were going to come in and it was going to be their thing. They were going to really turn this thing around. There was no indication whatsoever because that was not the plan. Something changed, I guess, Steve.
Well, he is being investigated. By the FTC, which is kind of amazing. I didn't know they did these investigations anymore. Bump. And now the speculation is, hey, he needs the money.
Mm-hmm.
My first thought yesterday, and I said it to Arash, was, well, is it going to be just the Lakers? He's got these other major franchises, if you consider WNBA and the Sparks a major franchise. One tweet from a Joe Pompliano, who's getting into this area with the business of sports, said there's clearly some smoke to Mark Walter and the Mark Walter investigation after previously claiming that Just $1.4 billion of the assets at his life insurance company were loaned out to businesses he controlled. Walter has since revised that number to $21 billion. Okay. It's a little misrepresentation, $1.4 billion to $21 billion. This person says that's why he sold the Lakers and might have to sell other assets too. But because of the connections and the names who are involved here, like Bob Iger, and you can keep telling me that all Kushners are not created equal, that's fine. That,
once a Kushner, always a Kushner.
Josh Kushner is not necessarily a Trump guy. There's a lot of connections here. There's a lot of names, and it is interesting that whole pivot where Josh Kushner was going to be involved in this stake to monetize like 20% of the World Cup.
Yep.
That goes downhill, and then all of a sudden he's involved in buying the biggest brand in all of basketball.
Within days. That gets shut down, and then a week later they're like, yeah, let's make this $12 billion purchase, huh?
I guess the reason I'm very wary of this is I kind of feel like, and this isn't fair to say, but I feel like at that level, billionaires are playing fast and loose with all the rules.
Mm-hmm.
And you can sort of pick and choose who you're going to go after.
Of course you can.
And then also go, okay, we're good.
Yeah.
Then back off and go, you know what? We're clear.
Yeah.
So is that going to happen here? We're going to find out like, oh, yeah, they didn't find anything in the investigation. But I sold the Lakers. Well, behind the scenes, you needed to do that to make right with us.
It's just a coincidence, Steve, if that were to happen. These are two separate things. I don't know why you would think such a thing, that a man under federal investigation would then sell to a group that involves somebody who is by law related to maybe somebody who has some say in said federal investigation. That's just me, though. I'm just spitballing here.
Arash reacted by saying this is why the Dodgers and Sparks could be sold as well. Yeah. Dodgers officials already, Stan Kasten's like, Lakers and Dodgers, really nothing to do with each other. Yeah. Meanwhile, Arash is reporting that, and this is not like some breaking news, that the Dodgers and Lakers actually were sort of coexisting, and some of the model on one side was being replicated on the other side.
Yeah. That's probably the plan.
How crazy would it be if in like less than a year period, the Lakers and Dodgers were both sold?
Well, especially for the Dodgers, given what just happened, 2 weeks ago with Terry Skubal and what's going to happen with this new CBA and the cap and everybody complaining about how the Dodgers broke baseball, and then you're going to be forced to sell the Dodgers after doing all of this to the sport itself. And by the way, leaving the other owner to somewhat pick up the pieces of whatever salary cap is going to be instituted.
Well, there are also people out there who are like, hey, this guy Walter is moving money around. Was that – I mean, the funny thing is when we talk about this money is at such a level. I just mentioned it. He claimed that $1.4 billion of the assets at his life insurance company were loaned out to businesses he controlled. Wrong. It was $21 billion. And I see people jumping to the conclusion like, oh, a real shell game with that deferred money with the Lakers. Do you realize with the money I'm talking about here that $1.1 billion in deferred contracts is nothing
right
for this guy and these people? It's nothing.
So what was it? It was $21 billion actually? So $20 billion. Like, oh, sorry, I didn't carry the zero when I was doing my math earlier about all these assets. That's my bad.
Stuck it to Ohtani and Tucker because he needed the money now.
Yeah.
I guess. Seems like a small amount, really, compared to the sort of money we're dealing with here.
The other day I was doing my budget, and I found out that Uber Eats, I didn't account for one of the tips that I had left on Uber Eats. It took me like an hour to find that tip in my budget. And I was like, where's this $767 coming from that I'm off?
This guy was off $19 billion.
This dude was off $19 billion.
Do you like my suggestions for the new owners of the Dodgers and the new owners of the Sparks?
Yes.
I already mentioned the Sparks ownership group. If they are forced to sell, it's perfect timing. You have to reward people for doing a good job, even though they have to take the fall for you. Or in one case, I think the one person was like, okay, you left me on a plane, potentially die. Carolyn Levitt and Janine Pirro take over the Sparks.
I'm down. I think that would be great.
I will say the look of the team will change a lot.
Enes Kanter would be, I think, immediately. Sorry, Enes Freedom Kanter would be immediately brought in.
Kanter is on the team. Royce White, maybe not.
No, we can't use it.
Everyone who's not happily married or dating a male, might be on the trade block.
Yep. See you later.
Dodgers ownership. This would be a good way to reward an LA guy. I don't know how many times we've talked to Cody Decker, who went to I think they both went to Santa Monica High School.
Yeah. But
Cody Decker actually did go to high school with, and Cody was a former AAA player. He's a LA radio star now. I think they should. I would love this split. The one guy cannot make the decisions though. Stephen Miller, the pillow guy, and Pete Hegseth. Owner of the Dodgers.
I mean, Hegseth might have some free time soon. But if he's
every Dodger's on TRT.
Yeah.
No Paul Skeens bodies.
Yeah. I don't know. He might not be great with the books though. I mean, we're about to run out of missiles, so what would he do when running a baseball team?
I'm joking, but I cannot wait to see if the Dodgers are sold, who the next owners are.
He'd have them all lifting weights in the outfield, shirtless. It would be good
calisthenics
because he probably would bring back one of the things that I think baseball is genuinely missing is the vest uniform, right? The sleeveless unis. Yeah. He would bring those back. Those were good.
Yep.
No, those were good.
Glenn Bragg. Look up that picture. Just the pipes. Okay, so earlier we said the two of us are the only ones who have really supported one Carson Beck over the years.
That's right.
I had his back when that Cavender twin screwed him over.
I can say that for a fact.
Said bad things about him.
I saw that video for the first time. That was really sad, actually. Nobody likes him.
I did have a moment today where I thought about what a great player a retiring NBA star is Russell Westbrook. I don't think most people are going to be with me. You?
We are not as a whole and as sports fans. Look, and I only put on Get Up this morning a little bit, and I think the news came down while I was on the air, if I remember correctly. So maybe there will be more to this. We are not sad enough that Russell Westbrook is retiring. We're not. Flags should fly at half-mast today around the country because Russell. You laugh. I'm being serious in the sense of this is monumental. The internet ruined, for the most part, the view of Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook's one of the best players of his generation. He was named to the All 75 or whatever they call it, right? The 75th year anniversary team. He was named to that. He's genuinely one of the best basketball players I've ever seen. And for everybody, by the way, if you're an anti-NBA person, one of the few that you would potentially point to is Russell Westbrook. Every single night when that dude played, it was 110%. Didn't matter. Didn't matter what team he was on. Didn't matter if he was winning record or losing record. He was always going hard every single time. Time catches up with you. His game slips away. Not as good in the mid-range jumpers. The efficiency numbers drop. He was still one of the most violent rim attackers you're ever going to see. He was fantastic. And now we don't get to watch him anymore? Outside of just the normal, oh my God, time is slipping away. I didn't realize he'd been in the league for, 18 years?
That's crazy.
It's insane. If you would have asked me genuinely, I would have been 12. Mm-hmm. I did not think it was 18 years already that he'd been playing. But we're not sad enough that he's gone.
Why did the internet and how did it ruin him?
Oh, because obviously the Westbrook stuff, making fun of him for just not being as efficient, the chasing of triple-doubles. I think so, to an extent.
No, I said, was that Skip Bayless?
The Russell Westbrook?
Yeah.
I don't know where it originated, but I would assume that's probably around there.
That is annoying.
Yeah. Right. You're denigrating a guy for a guy who is one of the better ones of his generation. It sucks. Then it extends out to the fans. The way the fans treat him is ridiculous. He's a fantastic player. And honestly, and this is not a comparison, but the sadness that we're going to feel when LeBron retires or when Steph retires, you should feel it for Russell Westbrook. We're going to look back on and realize that he was one of the pillars of his generation. And not to mention the narrative stuff, too. I don't think he deserves enough credit for what he did when Kevin Durant left. Kevin Durant, look, I think guys are too often criticized, but it is plain that Kevin Durant lost, saw it get a little tough, and left. And he left a really good team. And Westbrook decided to stick around, won an MVP with that group post-Kevin Durant, led him to the playoffs, and tried to fight the good fight on his own. Dude's awesome, man.
Well, I think a lot of people will bring up that, hey, no one wanted to play with Westbrook. Now, that the Harden was not part of that because they moved on him.
Yeah.
But why was that team broken up? Was it Westbrook's fault?
The Thunder?
Yeah.
I mean, to an
KD.
extent. I mean, but Kevin Durant also had a choice there. Dude, they were up 3-1 in that Western Conference Finals against the Golden State Warriors. They went to the NBA Finals and were up 1-0 on LeBron and the Miami Heat. You want to know why I remember that, too? It's one of my favorite betting learning moments in my life when they went up 1-0, and I wasn't 21 yet, and I went up to a certain book, and I was like, I would like to bet the Thunder to win this series, please. And the guy was like, they're minus 300. I was like, I don't want to put $30 down to win 10. I'll leave. Thank you very much. But, like, they had opportunities. And we've seen time and time again. I mean, look at the Celtics now. They're such a great example. The Celtics kept smacking their head on the wall over and over and over again. And guess what finally happened? The wall caved and they won an NBA Finals. Kevin Durant could have stuck around. They could have won that. They could have eventually done it, but he decided to go. So maybe, like, he's not. I'm not saying he's perfect. But in terms of the way that you view his career, that dude should be great. And he was also just such a great story. One of my favorites, like Jeff Teague, I don't know if you've ever listened to his podcast, but he does a really good job with like the podcasts that he does and the stories that he tells. And one of my favorite NBA stories is Teague's talking about a day where they're playing him, the Westbrook. And Westbrook does this, rocking the baby celebration and like hits a jumper over him. And Jeff Teague tells him, like, man, get out of here. I don't care. And I guess Westbrook turns to him and goes, that's the problem. and screams it in his face. And Teague's like, you're right. Like, you're right. Like, I don't care.
Wow,
maybe that is
story.
the problem.
He admitted, like, he got me. I don't care as much as you.
Yeah. Like, Westbrook was awesome, dude. He was really good. And it sucks that he's gone. You know how you know his impact, too? Isabel texted me today. And she's like, did Westbrook retire? And I was like, yeah.
Well, that also means that you talk about him a lot.
But to understand the impact.
How much do you talk about Russell Westbrook over the course of the last 10, 15 years with this lady?
Come on, he's awesome. He's freaking awesome.
He is. I will say this. He's one of the first real victims of social media and TV talking head shows gone out of control. Because he is was a really good player. And his reputation by the end was like, selfish, can't shoot, not great, not a good team player. Like, wait, what happened here? Because if you just build a narrative and then just keep pounding someone over and over and over again, then it starts to get accepted.
Yep.
Which I will say, once again, that it's one of the reasons I really dislike old players who bash on this era and younger players. Because they never had to go through this. They don't understand what this is like at all.
Yep. Dude, I'll still...
And they're actually contributing to it. Like, how dare you? You know what it's like to be a player.
Yep. The guy, and like some of my fandom too, like I enjoy basketball, but I'll still never forget, and it was at the tail end of his career, the Clippers were playing the Suns in the postseason, and he was on that team, and Kawhi gets hurt in game 1 of the series that they win against the Suns. The Suns were supposed to be that unbeatable team, right? And I was against Kevin Durant, and Russell Westbrook comes out in game 2 of that series. They lose it, but he has 28 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists on 56% shooting, and does everything possible to help the Clippers potentially win that game. And they lose, but just absolutely, and defensively too, steals, awesome, like all over the place, right? They lose the game, but those are the kind of games where, as me as a fan, and I'm sure like Thunder fans or maybe even Wizards fans, whatever, have those games with Westbrook where you're like, this dude is just every single second of this game 110% max effort, trying to do everything possible.
On the way back, let's get to UNLV football and also the Raiders, as the Cardinals are now on the doorstep. Raiders did take a 7-0 lead in the first quarter of the preseason game as Kirk Cousins hit Michael Mayer on a 13-yard catch and run.
It's Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas.
Hey, here we go. Here we go! The beginning of the new era. Yes! The Savior. He's on the field. They're scanning the owl right now.
How many in the press box are trying really hard?
Not to clap.
Not to clap.
Are you saying that sometimes the Raiders media is less than objective?
Sometimes.
Some of them.
I mean, just the ones that compared him to Joe Burrow.
All right, here we go. Yeah, what do we got? Is that Trey Zune at a right tackle? Oh, Mendoza's the quarterback. I guess that's a more important part. But Raiders get on the board first. 7-0. Look at that.
Yeah,
Look at that. Mendoza, the mesh point. Handoff. You didn't like it?
Didn't like it.
What happened?
The handoff was a little wonky.
I thought it was perfect. We're going to break down every aspect. He looks nervous, doesn't he?
I mean, he's nervous because he's so close to the strip.
Yeah. Boy, you're not going to let that go. We have to get to that. So Mendoza's in. Anyway, Kirk Cousins to Michael Mayer.
It's the gamble. You know?
Preseason, when you've got a team in town, and there's hope for this team, preseason can become just ridiculous in overanalyzing everything. I will say when I saw Michael Mayer catch and run 13 yards, my first thought was, you know what? I thought that guy was a good pick. I think he's going to be a good player. They haven't had the right offense and the right quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
If I say 50 catches, 50 catches, 650 yards, 6 touchdowns this year, Michael Mayer.
That's extremely aggressive.
Is it?
Yes.
Is it? Okay. I came out too high.
Because Brock Bowers is going to have 200 receptions for 2,000 yards and 25 touchdowns.
There's been teams in the past. Of course.
I missed the first completion in Fernando Mendoza's career.
Because I'm talking about Michael Mayer.
No.
Anyway, the other way, boy, I will really want to see Marvin Harrison Jr. bounce back. So he caught a touchdown pass from Jacoby Brissett. I guess I was a little blown away that both of the starting quarterbacks were out there for at least a series. So we'll see. Brissett's probably going to play a little more now.
Floated it a little bit.
What happened? You didn't like the Mendoza completion?
He floated it a little bit. Look at Best got to go up there. He's got to touch the roof of the leash to go get it.
With a second catch? All right. Well, we can't sit here and just
second
watch.
catch that we've seen.
Yeah. We can't sit here and just watch the game and do play-by-play. But 7-7, 2:25 left in the first. Before we get to some more Raider stuff, day 14 officially of preseason, I almost said offseason, preseason camp for the Rebels as they get ready for the game against Memphis on the 29th at Allegiant. They have a scrimmage tomorrow. So scrimmage tomorrow at the Raiders facility. That is closed to the media, so there won't be any coverage except for what they sent out. They were very strategic in sending a video out last week. Did you see the video they sent out?
No.
Alex Orji rolling right, throwing to
the deep completion?
A diving.
Yeah.
Caden McGee, and that thing got like 7 million views on Twitter.
Did.
It was a nice pass.
It was.
And there is something with Alex Orji that allows him to go viral. First of all, he's built like a freaking truck. And there was always hope that this like uber, super athlete guy was going to turn into a great quarterback. So very titillating. So we'll see what the positives and any other things they put out on video. But again, that is closed to the public, closed to the media. I don't know if you saw it this morning, but Dan Mullen went on with those jabronis on Barstool have a column. I only see the clips. There's some older blonde-haired guy. I don't know his name.
I don't know if was it their morning show on FS1 or was it one of their podcasts?
It's their college football show. That's all I know it as is their college football show. And Mullen went on, and you'll hear one of the guys here from Barstool talking about Group of 5, Group of 6 respect.
Do you have any message to like the detractors of the world who maybe look down and turn their nose up at G5 football?
Well, I think college football has always been about winning, right? And I think winning should be rewarded. And until they change everything, if they want to change it, and go to a different way of doing things, I'm an old school college football fan. I think if you win games, you should be rewarded for winning games. It's really hard to win week in and week out. JMU had a great year last year, won a championship and proved that they should have a shot at the college football playoff. And, there are a lot of teams that went into the playoff in the that were SEC teams that got blown out in the first round.
Yeah, SEC. Blown out.
Right.
What do you think he meant in the middle of that comment that Group of 6 deserves representation until things change or they change? I don't know if he said system. I wonder what he's thinking. I've actually never talked to him about this on the record or off. If he thinks that eventually it's going to go to like a top 60 schools and then the next 60 schools.
Or until UNLV gets to the Big 12, and then I don't care what they do with those Group of 6 teams. They can do whatever they want.
I mean, clearly right now it's the way the system is set up is nonsense. And the crazy thing is, even when they go to 20 or 24 schools, I don't think that Group of 6 is going to get more than one spot, and maybe in a miraculous season they'll get a second.
Right.
Which is crazy.
Well, like we know what they want. They just want all these power conferences to play each other. Specifically, they want the Big Ten and the SEC to play each other.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Well, that's where a mega league is going to start, and then they'll siphon off another 8 to 12 schools, and that'll be it. And then maybe I don't think this will happen because I don't think the upper division will agree to it. Maybe there could be relegation.
Maybe. But that's also why I think, too, like going back a few weeks when everybody was like, ooh, the SEC might break away. That's not going to work. And I've heard the argument of, well, the NFL plays each other all the time, and like that works, and everybody watches. Yes, because you know that those are the best teams. If the SEC is going to play just itself and then crown a champion and be like, this is the best, when Ohio State or Oregon or whoever is still out there, you're never going to take it seriously because you know that there's another team that could beat them out there. Multiple.
If you win, you get that opportunity. I think people want to see teams that win, that deserve to win, that are given that opportunity. That's kind of what in that America.
Yeah.
That
Well
you know
said.
what? Hey, if
Yeah.
you really do well and you win, we're going to give you a shot to go play for a championship. And I think that's one of the things that's really cool. And that's we have JMU coming up on the schedule. I think next year.
Can't wait.
So we've tried to schedule those teams so that. When the resumes come out, we've played as hard a schedule as you possibly can have and give us the opportunity to go to a playoff.
Go ahead, make your comment on their comments.
First off, I just hate it. Like
I know what's coming.
Just let them talk,
Yep.
right? I hate when I'm listening to things. You don't have to commentate on what the person is saying. The point of an interview is you want to hear the person, right? So I don't need to hear, well said, just because he said the word America.
That's the one I noticed. That they felt like they had to agree with him. Now, here's the thing. I totally agree with him. Like, that is one of my biggest things, that the system now is 1,000% un-American.
Well said. Well said, Steve.
Notice we don't really do that on the show, where it's Yeah, I'm listening.
Yeah.
I don't have to give you a verbal prompt that I'm paying attention.
I had a big trigger the other day. Listen, it's a similar thing.
Right.
That, I enjoy the work of one Mina Kimes on ESPN. Holy smokes, sometimes listening to her podcast, it drives me insane. First off, total pretentious NFL person. She was asked a rhetorical question on one of her episodes, like, how many other man-corner duos would you look at besides these two? And she's like, well, and she starts naming them off, and we're like, shut up! Like, we know you can answer the question. It's a rhetorical question. You don't have to pretend like you know everything. Also, the thing that drives you nuts is that just the constant, yep. In any level of media, it drives me insane.
The reason I love the America thing so much, we're both making max effort to not say anything. It's awesome. This is the way the show should be. Lots of space. It does drive me nuts that an archaic system that decided arbitrarily to allow some of these states into the party and we're not in. Nevada is a place where people actually want to live.
Well said, Steve.
And there are a lot of places that are dying economically. People don't want to be there. They can't be there. And we're on the outside. New Mexico's on the outside. Montana's on the outside. Idaho is on the outside. North Dakota and South Dakota are on the outside.
But Tuscaloosa, Alabama gets in? Oklahoma and their 50th ranked education system get in? Get out of here. Ridiculous.
I'll have to ask Mullen in a calmer atmosphere if he really meant that or if that's just a throwaway line. Because I really mean it. I get so worked up that we get the screw job because we weren't part of Nevada and UNLV. We're not part of the chosen. Well, we weren't around. The schools haven't been around that long. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then meanwhile, Oregon State and Washington State act like we should be part of it. You were dragged along because you were old as hell in the Pac-2, whatever it was, Pac-8, Pac-6. And they still hold to that. Like, we're one of the elites. We're definitely a group of four. No, you're not. That's actually, right there is the meritocracy of college football. When they reform these conferences, they're like, yeah, time has passed you both by. You're too small. And that probably should happen to Iowa State, dying on the vine now with no money. Anyway, all right, that's a rant I've done a million times. He is right about the future schedule. He should know. He's the coach. But on Barstool there, Dan Mullen, the UNLV coach, pointing out the 2027. This is a good non-con. Have you looked at this?
What are the chances that those Barstool guys are actually, as they said, looking forward to it? Looking forward to James Madison and UNLV next year.
I'm not. I don't know why they booked at JMU the first game, and then they go back in 2030 when the whole system is probably going to change, 2031. Anyway, next year, ready for this? At USC, they get Akron back, though, another Barry Odom game. At USC, Akron, home Arizona State, at JMU. Do you look at that and go, hey, the JMU game, coach, is kind of unnecessary?
And why would you put that landmine in there?
Like, at USC, Arizona State, that's enough.
Yeah. I mean, I guess a winnable game? I mean, the Arizona State game is winnable too, but.
Here?
Yeah.
Yeah. USC will be tough.
A little bit.
No Jade Maeva, though.
You sure about that? Does he have any eligibility left? Maybe he comes back. He would have eligibility, would he not?
I think everyone does now with 5 and 5.
I
I felt
know.
really bad today when Avery Helm, the UNLV cornerback who transferred from TCU, but actually started in 2020 at Florida. He doesn't know me, and I went like full sarcasm, and I just stared him down. I don't know why I found this funny. I'm just going to laugh at my own joke, pulling a Freddie Coleman here. But I looked at him, and I'm like, you're old. And he was like, yeah, I am. Okay. Not funny. He's 24 years old.
Really?
And Maeva would have another year, I believe.
And it's a deep quarterback class, so if you're Maeva, would you stick around, get some more money? Depends on how the season goes too, obviously, but
he's a great conversation point because I hear enough people raving about him, and I think he's really good. But I still remember watching him and seeing some of his flaws. Is he an NFL quarterback? Is he a Heisman candidate?
Oh, he's a Heisman candidate for sure, if he plays well.
I guess if you're on a team with that kind of brand, and if you pump out a 1 or 2 loss season,
yeah,
you're in the mix.
Yeah. NFL quarterback, I don't know. I mean, he's got somewhat of the size. He's, 6'4", or at least listed. I don't know if the arm strength is entirely there, and still has the penchant for putting the ball in danger. Those aren't really great things if you want to be an NFL quarterback. But we've seen lesser prospects make it.
Chris Matthews reacted at Sports 8 to that post with the audio video of Mullen on Barstool and said, Power 4 schools turning down trips to Vegas to play UNLV. That says it all. That is true.
Yeah.
They were close to having 2 different SEC teams play at Allegiant to open the year instead of Memphis, but it fell through.
Mississippi State? Were they good SEC teams? Or Kansas? Are you allowed to say it on the record?
I think it was Ole Miss, and I think Tennessee.
Ooh, Tennessee would have been fun. I think Tennessee's going to be really good. And they got that young kid at quarterback.
You do?
Oh, yeah. Got this kid, true freshman, 5-star prospect kid, Faison Brandon, who should win the job.
I don't know why I looked up. I was like, what?
Yeah. Well, it's mainly because his name sounds backwards. Brandon is his last name. That'd be cool. Get that on the books.
Coming up, breaking news with the Bears. I think this is so freaking lame, and we will talk about wearing your pants way too low.
Cofield and Company presents Grab Bag on ESPN Las Vegas.
Stick your hand in there, Dave.
Cardinals now up, 9 minutes left in the half. It's 14-7. We'll get you an update on who scored for the Cards.
Oh, no.
Is that Trey McBride, or is that very much a backup tight end? I don't think it's him. But anyway, 14-7, Cardinals on top.
Not looking good for my first half bet, Steve.
Mendoza has been – we haven't watched.
He's been a bum.
Yeah, we're not watching. It's hard to watch when you're doing a radio show. Last thing on UNLV before we get to a couple Raiders points.
Not for me, Steve. I'm great at everything.
And Chris Berman's pants.
Oh, can I tell you one more thing that bugs me during broadcasts? Shows like this. It bothers me when a host makes a point and the other person in the background goes,
I know.
It's really stupid.
I know. We don't have that problem. We just like to talk over each other, especially me leading the way.
That's what I do.
So you had a question about Orgy and Jackson Arnold, the quarterbacks for the Rebels.
Well, so it ties into the video that you had mentioned. So it ties into 2 videos, actually. I will take credit for this. My video, Steve, of Dan Mullen from the night practice is making rounds. And I was listening to a national CBS podcast in which it was referenced, ooh, I don't know, I'm cooling on UNLV. Did you see this clip of Dan Mullen talking about, they're battling. Don't really like what they were. I don't really like that they're battling, that Jackson Arnold should win this job. And then the clip comes out of Orji completing the deep pass, and everybody just assumes, like, Orji's going to win the job. This is crazy. And it's like, okay. I understand that he had a good practice that day, right? I think you would corroborate that as well. And they're both going to have, like, good practices. They're good athletes, and they're quarterbacks that are maybe akin to one another. I think Jackson Arnold, from what I've seen and from what I've talked to you and others, is probably going to win the job. I say probably. But I don't know if it's like this giant, terrible thing that there's a quarterback battle, or what if Dan Mullen is just telling us there's a quarterback battle and he already has his mind made up and that it's Jackson Arnold?
Okay, one, I think there's a lack of savviness from college football people, and if they've covered college football for a while and they don't realize that coaches do this,
right,
then shame on you.
Right.
They play these games. Willie asked me yesterday about Orji and Jackson Arnold, and I had said 2 weeks ago that I thought it was like 95-5 in favor of Jackson Arnold. I think it's 80-20 now.
Whoa.
And now the 20 with Orji is I think he's come along in terms of his mechanics, his confidence. He's feeling better. I think he's feeling better about his leg. I still think Jackson Arnold is going to be the starting quarterback. I also believe that both quarterbacks will get snaps in the first game. Mm-hmm. But I think Arnold's ahead. But here's what I'm not going to do. Because I see a lot of people who only know Alex Orji from his days at Michigan. I think it's really insulting to say, if there's a battle, there's trouble. You guys are a-holes. First of all, you have no idea what Mullen can do with quarterbacks. Orji has come a long way. And the other thing that makes me uncomfortable is Alex Orji is an unbelievable human being. Mm-hmm. So when people take shots at him, based on what they saw at Michigan, it's very mean-spirited. And it's uneducated.
I would agree, too, with your point of you just don't know with these guys and what's going to happen. If you followed this program, when Haj Malik Williams had to step in, you're like, I don't know about this. He was awesome. He was great. So I think you just kind of got to trust the process here. And I know that's a different regime, but the whole point here being is just you just don't know what you have in some of these guys. And I would agree totally with the point that if Orji has to play quarterback, that they're absolutely screwed. It is insulting.
And it's from people who aren't at practice. They don't know the kid. They can say that Mullen's a quarterback whisperer, but they don't respect that.
Also, the other part, since we're on this topic, because this was hand in hand with what I was seeing with some other national punditry, I'm amazed how people are perceiving this UNLV schedule at the beginning.
I saw your tweet.
People think it's just a rollover. In that same conversation, it was Tom Fornelli. It was like, I know you guys might be cooling on UNLV, but let me bring you back in. Look at this schedule. And
I'm just like how easy it is?
Yeah. No. I'm just and the market's betting them up in that Memphis game, which I don't agree. They're 6-point favorites against Memphis. I think that's a little high. But even if you pull that off, Cal is going to be difficult. They might be dogs. They're 1-point favorites only in that game. Hawaii? Air Force? What are we talking about?
You know what people make the mistake of? And this, I'm glad the Broncos, some corrective action has happened with the Broncos. The Broncos went 14-3, and someone pointed out, hey, they trailed in 15 games. UNLV won a lot of games last year. There were a lot that they pulled out of the hat. The Miami of Ohio game was a miracle or miraculous. They had a lot of close games that they won. Sometimes that turns the other way. I think their schedule is a pretty tough schedule.
I do too.
I'm not going to do Berman's pants today. We might open with it tomorrow.
It's not his pants. It's his ass.
Well, I think he has one. I think when people get older, they like to wear the pants low because they still have a gut.
It's got to be uncomfortable.
And they're insistent on hey, I'm still a 34. Like, you're a 40. Pull the pants up. Get bigger pants. Come on. You're not a 34 anymore. And he's like 73 years old. I don't want to bash on him. And normally I was cool bashing on Berman, but I thought that got out of control. That video got like 8 million hits. Damn you, Internet.